What's up, guys? This is Anime Crossover. I'm back with the last episode of What If Naruto Was the Red Flash, the end. And if you did enjoy this series, give this series a like for more crossover fictions. Now let's begin this new video.
Chapter 17 Part 2. Back to business, but better than ever. December 2015 in Central City. The party had been over a week, and Team Flash had settled into their new routine. With Zoom dealt with, things had been eerily peaceful, with no fresh metahuman crimes and only the everyday crime that was all too easy. That gave them time to unwind and enjoy the end of the year, with the news coming that Impulse was back. Caitlin and Ronnie were still on their honeymoon, but they shared images of themselves having fun and said they'd be back next week. Naruto had sealed the breach in the Star Labs, so they were all shut down, but they utilized the extrapolator to get Wells, Jesse, and his parents back to Earth too. They returned for a short while to check on things, as now that Zoom was gone, they could finally start fixing their city. Following Zoom's public defeat at the hands of Impulse, as well as the revelation that he was Hunter Zolomon, the city began its efforts to reclaim power. With the generous donation of Star Labs icers and new protection vests, the CCPD started on the offensive against gangs and metahumans. The Earth may no longer have a Flash, but things will improve. Earth 2 Star Labs would be a large part of it, and Naruto was eager to help in any way he could, including coming over to patrol once in a while because getting there would be simple. Fortunately, Wells, Jesse, Minato, Kushina, and Mito could easily come and go, and they agreed to spend the holidays on Earth 2, where they would have plenty of peaceful time. Naruto used the time to focus on Star Labs and build the company with Gaara. It was the end of the year and the holidays, so there wasn't much they could do for business, but they did manage to do some excellent things. They planned to visit the NY and LA Star Labs in January, as well as the overall expansion and distribution of their environmental products. Central City was as clean as a whistle, which made international headlines, so Star Labs was collaborating with both government and privately owned environmental groups to spread his oxyhydrin bacteria even further for greater waste cleanup, and some foreign states were petitioning for arc reactor buildings for power. In addition, he recently filed multiple patents for revolutionary recycling technologies for converting nuclear waste into clean burning energy. Already, he was receiving requests and contract talks for the technology from the Department of Energy and even overseas nuclear installations. Suffice it to say, the legal team will be swamped with work. They also worked out some deals for Naruto's latest batches of computer visual effects and image tools. He licensed it to firms such as ILM, DreamWorks, Disney, and WT Workshop. He even had the opportunity to chat with directors who had contacted Star Laboratories in search of certain effects programs and specialized cameras. Directors like James Cameron, who was working on the sequel to Avatar at the time, found Naruto to be just what he needed. Cameron was so impressed that he promised Naruto a visit to the set and even a tiny part, making his geek heart sing and Cisco jealous. Suffice it to say, word got out about Star Laboratories in the entertainment sector, but it wasn't confined to movies since he also reached out to HBO and gave them some new software and technology to use on their projects. One of them was Game of Thrones, and the creators were overjoyed with the donations and issued an invitation to the set, which he would gladly accept. That inspired Naruto to establish a media and entertainment division of Star Labs to handle their smartwatches, holographic workstations, VR goods, and all of the CGI software he created. Naruto was interested in science and technology, but he also planned to make a lot of money in the entertainment industry. Already, animation, TV, film, and video game businesses were contacting him for offers on his software and other items they might require in the future. On top of that, he had enormous ambitions for a massive VR MMO-style video game. The days of fantasizing about virtual reality worlds and video games, as depicted in the 2011 novel Ready Player One, were about to come true. It was a difficult undertaking, but Naruto had the skills to complete it, and he was already accepting applications for personnel to work in the LA facility as well as the new avionics division of Star Labs. Kankuro and Tamari were there, and Gaara would be visiting them soon, not only to celebrate the holidays with them, but also because of their new jobs at Star Labs. Naruto had offered them jobs a while ago, and they had accepted. Star Labs was expanding, and he needed all the assistance he could get. They were overjoyed with their new professions, especially because they would be able to work alongside Gaara and spend more time with him. Kankuro had worked for a prominent toy company, therefore he was in the media and entertainment section, whereas Temari's past work at an avionics firm qualified her to work for Naruto's avionics division as well as the newly established space division. Yes, Naruto established a space division and pledged to increase human engagement with the stars and get us into space. The difference between Naruto and other tech billionaires was that Naruto could actually pull it off. In addition to his work in the Star Labs, Naruto published a slew of scholarly papers and essays on a wide range of scientific theories, projects, and issues. Things that were still theoretical on his planet but proved on Earth too. With that information and his expanding brilliance, he was easily the smartest person on the globe, and he produced papers and essays to assist advanced science and to pat himself on the back. String theory, unified field theory, quantum mechanics, plasma and particle physics, as well as genetic theory, biomedical research, and advanced engineering, are examples of such theories. All of those papers were written in less than a day, and he released them all the next morning, claiming that they were the result of months of effort as a recluse. They were for public viewing, and the fact that Naruto only had a bachelor's degree in physics would have dampened any excitement, but the fact that he was the leader of Star Labs rekindled it. Several scientific organizations, magazines, and colleges have reacted on his work in the last week, with some calling it outrageously theoretical and a few calling it silly, but the majority calling it clever and visionary. Even Stephen Hawking remarked on his writings, stating that he possessed a keen scientific mind, with his papers displaying the math and science of a brilliant visionary and someone who genuinely loved science. That was one of the highest compliments he'd ever received, and Hawking's approval boosted his credibility. That, along with his previous work, demonstrated that Naruto Namikaze was as intelligent as any scientist or professor with a PhD. Some tabloids and magazines even declared him the smartest man on the planet, a moniker that was slightly arrogant but also somewhat true, so he was fine with it. Naruto had scheduled a one-on-one interview with Ariel Atkins of the Ariel Atkins Hour show in Central City to discuss all of his recent work, publications, and future goals. Following the Singularity event, Cisco and Gaara maintained the facade that he had just become a recluse following Dr. Wells' death. He spent his time mourning but also working on future projects, mostly via video conversations or video interviews. This face-to-face interview would allow him to ease back into the public eye while also allowing him to explain all he was doing now. Linda had contacts in the news industry and helped set up the interview, but Naruto instructed her to inform them that this was not a puff piece interview. He was more than happy for a tough interview in which real questions were asked, and he embraced it. He battled metahumans, 2 evil speedsters, aliens, real ice zombies, and 2 dragons in a dungeon so he could conduct a news interview, and the Ariel Atkins Hour is Central City's most recognized news broadcast. Given the high-profile nature of the interview, it was planned to be broadcast nationally. He was dressed nicely in a scarlet 3-piece business suit with a white button-up and a black tie. Given his color scheme, he looked fantastic, and he made some personal adjustments to it, such as adding his new protective liner, making it bulletproof. I mean, just in case. Before going on camera, he sat in a cosmetic chair, getting a quick touch-up from the news station's makeup staff. He looked excellent, and his spiky hair remained spiky despite the objections of others. Jiraiya accompanied him as his bodyguard, as he had done previously when they traveled to Gotham, and Linda was there for emotional support. His parents and Mito wanted to be there, but they were supposed to be dead, so they couldn't come with him becoming more of a public figure. So Gaara headed to LA to visit his siblings and have a holiday. Naruto arranged for them to stay at a seaside home. "How do you feel, kid?" Jiraiya inquired after the makeup artist had finished with Naruto. "Fine. I'm prepared to do whatever they ask, and something tells me I'll be doing more of these in the future." Linda stepped over to Naruto and pointed. "That is correct. My boss has been requesting exclusive interviews with Naruto and has asked me to conduct them now that we're dating," Linda stated. "Well, all you have to do if you want an exclusive is ask." Naruto cracked a joke. "Are you sure about this, Naruto?" Despite her chat show, Ariel Atkins is a serious journalist, and with your permission, I'm sure she'll have some serious questions, Linda cautioned him. "That's exactly the purpose. It will demonstrate to everyone that I can withstand serious criticism." As one of the production assistants approached and dragged Naruto away, he said, "Wish me luck, and make sure the cameras get on my good side." "What's the good side?" Jiraiya inquired. "All of them." As he was escorted onto the stage, Naruto remarked. As the PA brought Naruto over to the host and his interviewer, the cameramen and lighting crew were almost ready. "We're delighted to have you here, Mr. Namikaze." Ariel Atkins welcomed him and shook his hand. "I'm delighted to be here, and please address me as Naruto. Formality does not appeal to me." Naruto comforted her. "Alright, Naruto it is. Please take a seat, and they will attach your microphone," Ariel said as they settled into their chairs. Their microphones were fastened to their shirts for better audio, and boom mics were placed up above them, out of camera view, to pick up any extra audio needed or if something went wrong with their microphones. As the director and producers completed their final checklist, they performed some audio tests to ensure that everything was ready, and the Pa came over and placed glasses of water and tea on the table for Naruto and Ariel to drink. "So, this is going to be just like any other interview. The cameras are stationed around here to catch everything as the interview progresses, and if you want to speak to a camera for whatever reason, look at the camera with the red light on above it. This may feel a little overwhelming at first, but simply relax and think of it as a casual discussion." "Not a problem," Naruto said as the producer nodded and gave Ariel a thumbs up, and everyone exited the stage. "Alright, and we'll be live in 5, 4, 3, 2. As the production lights turned on and everyone fell hushed, the producer counted down and pointed to the cameras. "Good morning, and welcome to the Ariel Atkins Hour. Ariel Atkins here, and today we have a very special episode with a very special guest. He and his company have been making global headlines one after the other, with no end in sight. Star Laboratories owner, CEO, and chief scientist Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze joins us today to discuss his firm, his future ambitions, and to answer any questions. Welcome to the show, Naruto." Ariel introduced him to me. "Thank you, Ariel, for having me," Naruto said, smiling and waving to the camera. "The pleasure is ours. Now, for those of our viewers who may be living under a rock or aren't as familiar with you," Ariel advised. "Of course. As our lovely host said, my name is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, current CEO, chief scientist, and owner of Star Labs here in Central City. The scientific and technological advanced research laboratories. Founded by Dr. Harrison Wells, Star Labs was created for the betterment of mankind through science. And under your leadership, even as a co-owner a few months ago, we made big waves in the science and global community, just like your predecessor did a few years ago," Ariel noted. "Yes. It's common record and knowledge now of the particle accelerator accident that happened in Central City 2 years ago, and Dr. Wells' admission that he was informed of the potential pitfalls of the accelerator and an accident could occur, which is precisely why the team at Star Labs, along with me, have been pushing the company in a new direction to not repeat the same mistakes of the past. More than your best. It's been approximately 8 months since your public press conference outside of Star Labs, and the company has become the new face of clean energy and environmental activism. Your arc reactor has been powering Central City for 8 months with no problem, making our city the first to go completely green. Additionally, your work with your special oxyhydrin bacteria has made recycle, cleanup, and waste disposal more cost-effective, and numerous pulls and pollutants have been reduced. One that I'm glad our city can have, and one that I hope will soon become the norm for other cities as well," Naruto said, adding that, "We have plans to expand our New York and Los Angeles facilities into much larger campuses and install arc reactors there as well." "And it doesn't appear you'll stop there," Ariel remarked. "Other cities have reached out for arc reactor installments, and I've heard that there are talks to incorporate the arc reactor into larger sector energy grids." "That is correct. Star Labs is currently in talks to help expand our clean and renewable energy to a larger area than just city by city, but that will take some time as well as more legal talk. So, for the time being, Star Labs will be installing arc reactors in major cities to help improve energy efficiency in places like Los Angeles and New York, as I previously mentioned. Both cities were previous homes to Star Labs facilities that were mothballed after the particle accelerator accident." "And what would the purposes of these larger Star Labs campuses be?" Ariel questioned. "The campuses will be where the arc reactors reside along with the facilities necessary to ensure complete and safe energy allocation for the city or area it will be supplying. In Central City, that is restricted to the main Star Labs building, so I want to take the concept to other cities but expand on it. Also on these campuses would be research and production facilities for many of the company's various scientific projects and divisions. The campuses would allow everyone to work together with more ease and promote better cooperation in their specific goals. For example, In our New York facility, we've expanded its original warehouse to include a large processing and R&D center for our new Star Labs battery and fuel cells, along with making it one of the hubs for our recycling and environmental reparation plans. For the Los Angeles facility, that will primarily house our growing entertainment and technology center where we can create, assess, and build new products for consumers. And there are also talks to increase the size of the campuses so that we can provide local housing for the employees to make their commutes simpler, but nothing is set in stone yet, Naruto explained. To that end, you recently announced the formation of several new Star Labs divisions, including Star Labs Avionics, Star Labs Aerospace, Star Labs Enviro Group, Star Labs Defense, Star Labs Medical, and Star Labs Entertainment, Ariel said. Yes. With our current success and plans to expand, I felt it was better to create specific divisions dedicated to various aspects or projects to keep it better organized. For example, Star Labs Enviro Group will be the main focus for all our green energy and environmentally friendly discoveries and products, inventions, and then working with local governments or groups to ensure those products are used correctly. That is a great accomplishment. Many people are praising your efforts in green energy and environmental activism. Where did this love and passion for such an endeavor come from? Ariel asked. I guess it's always been a part of me. My parents and Dr. Wells often told me how science is supposed to be for the betterment of mankind. Everything scientists like me do is to solve today's problems, and one of those problems happens to be global warming and environmental engineering. Making the world safer and cleaner for others, myself included, and future generations is a no-brainer. Of course, and on behalf of the asthma-sensitive residents of Central City, thank you. My doctor has said that my asthma has improved tremendously as a result of what Star Labs has done for the city, and scientists at various universities around the world are reporting on the benefits your environmental products have had on the planet's environment. That being said, there are still some detractors who believe that your science is all smoke and mirrors, and even some proponents who believe that your science is just all smoke and mirrors. Well, my first response is that is hypocritical because those calling me out for brainwashing future generations are doing the exact same thing. They rile them up into believing something they want them to believe, whereas I am using science and facts to actually back up my stances and actions. He was direct, which surprised everyone, but he didn't care. I imagine that many people will disagree with you on that and will call you out for what you just said, Ariel remarked. True, but I give it as good as I take it. They can focus on scaring people, whereas Star Labs focuses on making things better. At the end of the day, we both know who's right, and they just look stupid, Naruto observed. Well said, Ariel remarked. Do you have any upcoming plans for more advancements in green energy and environmental engineering? Actually, yes, as Star Labs has made some nice advancements in arc reactor energy to further improve its energy efficiency while reducing size, allowing us to distribute energy to a larger area than before. And our new arc reactor battery, fuel cell technology is something we're excited about. While the progress for building new arc reactors will take time, our fuel cells are available for distribution, allowing us to power anything from as small as a phone or car to as large as a skyscraper or factory for months with one fuel cell. Several corporations and companies have reached out to us for arc reactor fuel cells to power their buildings and factories, allowing them to operate off typical power lines and offset energy needs. We've also created, patented, and donated many new filtration systems that are able to decontaminate water into a clean drinking supply. And, of course, our new recycling technology allows us to reuse or dispose of waste that would otherwise couldn't be recycled or would occupy a landfill. Our biggest advancement so far has been in recycling is with harmful byproducts that previously couldn't be managed, such as batteries, hazardous chemicals, and nuclear waste, Naruto said. Ariel praised, wow, that's impressive. Will you be collaborating with governments and nuclear facilities to dispose of their hazardous byproducts using this new technology? Yes, Star Labs is already in talks with the U.S. Department of Energy to start recycling their nuclear waste into clean burning energy, so what was once harmful and hazardous will now be turned into something useful, Naruto explained. Everything else at the moment is still in development or undergoing negotiations before we're able to expand, but more is coming. We're working with environmental groups and governments to expand our environmental repair to help clean the ocean, as well as Star Labs' efforts to preserve natural landscapes and infuse suburban infrastructure with new innovative green technology. This would essentially form a harmonious combination of man and nature in buildings and cities, with Central City's Star Labs Tower being the first of its creation. And this isn't just using eco-friendly material in the building construction but instead infusing the environment so that it works in tandem with man-made structures. It can be as basic as using eco-friendly building material which we will or following the tenets for eco-friendly business which we are, but Star Labs instead is looking to make it so that man-made and nature-made go hand in hand. Essentially making a building as eco-friendly and environmental productive as a forest. Ariel Atkins commented, "That seems like a tall order." And it is, but fortunately, our other work in Star Labs allows us to devote time, effort, and funding to making that a reality, Naruto responded. There is no doubt about your tremendous scientific success, but some of your critics have commented on your recent string of publications and articles about various topics plaguing science today. Many have called you a visionary, while others say your work is wildly theoretical, with a few discounting them due to your age and lack of a higher degree. What do you say to that? Well, to that I say that my age and lack of a higher degree shouldn't discount my work or the work of anyone in any field. Many others who made groundbreaking discoveries were of various ages with them having various degrees of education. I'm happy with my current bachelor's degree in physics and engineering, and working at Star Labs has essentially been like going to a university to get my master's or doctorate, but just because I am without a higher degree doesn't mean my ideas are immediately to be discounted. Those that are saying not to listen to me just because I'm not a doctor or don't have a PhD are either ignorant or intimidated. I publish my ideas for public viewing so that other scientists can comment on what I've done, and if they believe in what I'm doing then great. If others don't then it's no problem. That's not to say I don't plan to acquire an advanced degree at some point, with the only factor being time. My papers are published and available for peer review, so I more than welcome criticisms and rebuttals of my theories, Naruto replied. And they'll have their work cut out for them. Please stick around as we'll be back with Naruto Namikaze of Star Labs for the Ariel Atkins Hour, Ariel remarked to the camera before they cut out. And we're at commercial, declared the producer. After a few minutes, the interview resumed as previously, with Naruto answering all of the questions posed to him. With all of your ideas and expansion plans as CEO, there has been some speculation about Star Labs' future with Dr. Wells passing. He left Star Labs to you, and there is no doubt in your success so far with science, but some business experts question your capability to advance the company in the business world. Do you see this as a possible shortcoming and have any plans to bring in business experts? Not particularly, no, and I don't see that as a disadvantage or a hindrance. I'll admit that I had some reservations as Star Labs began to expand, but a good friend pointed out something that I took to heart, Naruto responded. And what was that? Ariel inquired. People in the business world, heads of corporations, have years of education and training. Business schools and such allow them to thrive in that world, which is as cutthroat as it can get. Business people like them only know profits, making the shareholders happy, and doing whatever they can to keep the company at its best. And while I hope to make a profit so I'm able to pay all my employees the wages they deserve, which I will add, be better than the industry standard, my education and training was different. As a scientist, I was taught to solve problems and change the world for the better. Which is exactly what I'm doing, and building my own legacy in the process. He mentioned how the business world seems so horrible and uncaring because it's business people who rule it. They don't care about helping others and only care about making themselves rich. As a scientist, I solve problems for a living, and the solution to this problem is to not be like them. I could go to business school or hire Wall Street experts to help expand, and the only thing that would accomplish would be selling my soul and everything Star Labs is trying to be. If I did that I would just fail. I'm not built that way, so I'm not even going to try. Star Labs has made it this far without being business-minded first, and that is not going to change. And while our methods or approaches will seem odd, unusual, or idiotic, Star Labs has the means, funding, and products to keep going. And it could be seen as a little egotistical, but I have a feeling we're not going anywhere anytime soon. Naruto answered. I hope not, because everything you've announced and are planning to do is revolutionary. What plans do you have for your new Star Labs Medical division going forward? Star Labs Medical is dedicated and focused on advancing medicine and healthcare for humanity, allowing everyone to live longer and healthier lives, and this will include anything from new health supplements to advancing medical technology to ensure that open heart surgery, or any surgery for that matter, has a 0% chance of fatal occurrences. Can I activate the holographic interface? Of course. Everyone is in for a treat because this will be a first for television, Ariel remarked as Naruto tapped his watch, prompting his phone to broadcast a holographic image of a proprietary formula. Ariel received a thumbs up from all of the cameramen, indicating that they were getting clear video of the holograms. Your announcement and distribution of these holographic interfaces continues to amaze me to this day, and it's safe to say that this is one of your most significant technological advances. Thank you. The holographic interface does take some getting used to, but it'll become commonplace just like cell phones, laptops, and touchscreen phones and tablets, and we have future plans to integrate the holographic interface in our Star Labs smartwatches, but that will still take some time, Naruto replied, which was a lie. He possessed the scientific knowledge and technology required to make holographic smartwatches a reality. He was wearing one at the time, but smartwatches were still relatively new on the market. There was a demand because they were the most advanced pieces of consumer technology available, similar to when the iPhone initially came out, but the smartwatches were far more advanced. People were still getting used to them, and he wanted them and his holographic workstations to have some market and public exposure before introducing the next few modifications. What you see in front of you is one of Star Labs' most recent medical breakthroughs. Allow me to introduce you to the Kaseki serum. Interesting name. Isn't Kaseki the Japanese word for miracle? She guessed. Yes, that's correct. Miracle or marvel depending on the translation, but the meaning behind the name is deliberate. The Kaseki formula is nothing short of this generation's medical marvel. Vaccines, anesthesia, and antibiotics are three similar examples. With their creation, the medical field improved and grew rapidly, and they saved countless lives. Star Labs wants to advance medicine even further with a rapid cellular regeneration formula that can heal and treat disease. What exactly do you mean by cellular regeneration? Ariel inquired. To condense the more specific biological science, a cell goes through various stages of life as it grows and divides. It's the natural process that allows things to grow and age, from plants to humans. If we ever get injured, hurt, or catch disease, our cells react. For example, if you cut your hand or break a bone, your cells will naturally grow and divide to replace or restore missing cells and tissue, as well as reform. Another example is cancer, a disease that causes the body's cells to grow uncontrollably and spread to other healthy tissue. Cancer, cystic fibrosis, Huntington's disease, and all serious medical conditions begin at the fundamental cellular level. As time passes, cell division slows down as the properties in each cell required for division gradually diminish until it can no longer divide, with the exception of stem cells. Really? Yes. For example, imagine the human body as a car. When we're young, the car is factory fresh, brand new, and ready for the road. As we grow, the car grows as well, and depending on our lives, it may pick up some dings along the way. Cancer or other genetic diseases can be seen as damage from car accidents. Repairs can be made, but the car itself is damaged. Think of the Kaseki serum as a repair garage. We're currently working with the FDA and following all government policies, and hopefully after they approve human trials, we'll be able to help everyone live long and healthy lives. And don't worry, Star Labs isn't a heartless insurance company or for-profit hospital. This treatment will be available for everyone, I promise. Naruto swore, and the cameraman caught his face. It was now on record, and if he ever broke his promise or negotiated his way out of it, it might bury him. Fortunately for Naruto, he did not break his promise. Unbeknownst to Naruto, his interview was being viewed by old and new friends alike. Gotham City. Bruce Wayne was deep in the Batcave beneath Wayne Manor in Gotham City's neighboring suburbs. He sat at the Bat computer, working on some information pertaining to recent criminal activity in the city. After the major brawl and arrest in which Batman, Robin, Nightwing, and Impulse interrupted Roulette's little supervillain recruiting, most of Gotham's more well-known criminals or supervillains were still imprisoned in Arkham or Blackgate. Thankfully, Naruto had prevented any successful breakouts or escapes. He had given Bruce a flash drive that held numerous modifications to his weaponry, as well as a new surveillance program for the Wayne Tech satellites and monitoring software. The software Bruce installed in Arkham and Blackgate provided him with complete coverage and monitoring of both institutions, allowing him to know if the inmates attempted anything. Fortunately for them, none of his adversaries were smart or intelligent enough to outwit it yet, but Bruce wasn't going to rely only on that for the time being because he was planning additional countermeasures. While he was working, one of the Bat computer's mini-displays began playing Naruto's interview on the Ariel Atkins show. The real Naruto's first public interview since returning from whatever happened to him. While the majority of the world assumed Naruto had simply become a recluse following Dr. Well's death and spent his time focusing on the numerous scientific papers or Star Labs creations he had released, Bruce was not one of them. His satellites detected the singularity over Central City 9 months ago, and he was still reviewing the data, so he wasn't sure what happened, but he saw some odd trends with Naruto's behavior following the occurrence. The death of Harrison Wells was announced in the news, as was Naruto's acquisition of sole ownership of Star Labs. Dr. Wells and Naruto split ownership of the privately held corporation, and when Dr. Wells died, the shares passed to Naruto, giving him complete ownership. Naruto took some time to mourn his mentor's death and conducted business through phone or video calls, which was not a warning indicator for Bruce. Everything from Naruto's speech style to his demeanor during the video calls was unusual and not typical of him, as Bruce had noted during their different interactions. He considered the possibility that someone killed him in order to steal his identity, but given Barry Allen's continuing presence in Central City as the Flash but none of Impulse, he inferred correctly that Naruto had died and his friends kept his image up as a sort of last wish. It remains to be seen how long that will persist, but they did quite well for over a year. That is, until his satellites detected odd energy readings in Central City that resembled the singularity. They had distinct quantum energy signatures, which Lucius hypothesized could be gateway energy to other realms. With Impulse's quick return, he deduced that Naruto had returned from wherever he had been put. It also helped that Naruto texted Bruce to explain what had transpired. That, plus plans and schematics for more advanced improvements and a vow to return to Gotham with a gift. The elevator to the Batcave chimed, and Alfred emerged, carrying a tray of tea and a full English breakfast. He approached the computer where Bruce was working, but he also noticed him watching Naruto's interview. "Do you think I can persuade you to watch the interview in the kitchen instead?" Alfred said. "I thought there was a rule about no TV in the kitchen, Alfred," Bruce said, his gaze fixed on the schematics for the upgrades Naruto had given. "In this case, I'd be happy to make an exception if it got you out of here for a few minutes," Alfred said. "Good luck," Alfred said as he turned around to see Tim Drake doing pull-ups in the training area. "I'd think you'd have a better time getting Bruce to leave the Batcave than making pigs fly." "I suppose you're right, Master Drake," Alfred sighed, setting the teapot and food next to Bruce and watching the interview for a few moments. Ariel Atkins stated, "Star Labs has also been doing exclusive work with Wayne Enterprises." Yes, Star Labs' partnership with Wayne Enterprises has allowed both companies to grow and is beneficial. At the moment, Wayne Enterprises allows Star Labs to make a greater impact on the world in a shorter time frame than if we handled it alone. Star Labs is currently expanding with new facilities and such, but working with Wayne Enterprises cuts that time in half. Naruto responded. "Do you see this collaboration continuing as Star Labs expands?" "Of course. Even if Star Labs were to gain the production and influence that Wayne Enterprise has, we would not end our partnership. I can assure everyone, including Lucius Fox and Bruce Wayne, that Star Labs values our partnership. As long as they are happy to collaborate with me, I will be more than happy to collaborate with them. Now there's a smart young man, Master Wayne. Someone I'm sure understands work-life balance. Perhaps there's something you can learn from him." Alfred returned to the elevator with the tray. Bruce continued his job, as Tim Drake continued his training. "You think the Flash and Impulse have butlers? If I could run as fast as they do, I'd still get a butler." Bruce didn't respond, instead continuing to work while listening to the interview. Clearly, despite his time away from home, Naruto was eager to get back into the swing of things. And his intelligence had developed significantly wherever he went. Bruce had seen some of Naruto's reports and studies, and he easily outperformed some of the world's best minds. In fact, he was very certainly the most brilliant thinker on the globe. While this was a positive thing, his knowledge and remarkable abilities were also harmful. Bruce, ever the neurotic and overly careful individual that he was, pondered what would happen if something sent Naruto down a bad path. But he wasn't the only one, as Naruto sent him several unusual designs and formulas for various types of weaponry in his most recent communication. Specifically, anti-speedster weapons. Naruto must have had the vision, common sense, and humility to be wary of a circumstance that could transform him into a monster. As a result, he was handing that knowledge to people he knew would intervene if that happened. Oliver Queen and Bruce Wayne. Bruce's admiration for Naruto skyrocketed at that time. That was an uncommon accomplishment. City of Stars. The new Team Arrow, or now Team Green Arrow bunker, was hidden beneath the campaign offices for Oliver Queen's mayoral run. Newly improved owing to Cisco and Star Laboratories, and despite Naruto's absence, it was his design. They lost the bunker beneath Verdant after Oliver's identity as the Arrow was revealed and Jiraiya cleared Oliver of any suspicion. It was a necessary sacrifice for the Rouse, and after its revelation, Naruto rapidly devised new plans and designs. Cisco then used them to assist Oliver in building the new bunker. The latest technology and everything Team Green Arrow required. Since it was morning and no one was out on patrol, the team's suits were lined up in their cases on their mannequins. Oliver was getting some practice done before heading up to his campaign office. While watching and listening to Naruto's interview, he was completing the salmon ladder. Naruto had informed Oliver and the others that he was alive and well and had returned to Central City. Granted, the specifics of what transpired sailed over everyone's heads with multiverses, Speed Force, and other such jargon, but he was back, and he promised to see them soon. Toying with your Wayne Enterprises partnership, it appears that you are also expanding into Star City, with reports that you are in talks with the Palmer Tech Board to buy a controlling interest in the company, Ariel remarked as Oliver completed another pull-up on the salmon ladder. Felicity Smoke, the interim CEO named after Ray Palmer's death, was not truly alive, although no one knew it yet. It makes no difference. Felicity was working on Palmer Tech stuff at her desk in her office while also watching Naruto's interview. She was relieved he was still alive and had returned from wherever he had gone. She'd been working her tail off to keep Ray Palmer's legacy alive, which wasn't easy considering the company's current state. A CEO's death will do that, and she was doing her best but wasn't really trained in business and didn't want to cut corners or staff as the board desired. Fortunately, Naruto and the Star Labs came to the rescue. He contacted Palmer Tech to convey his sympathies on Ray Palmer's death. The Palmer Tech Board quickly offered Naruto shares in the company in exchange for him purchasing and expanding Star Labs into Star City. Felicity was still CEO and controlled the bulk of the shares, which were left to her in Ray Palmer's will when she was chosen CEO, but the remaining was held by the board, and if Naruto acquired them, he'd own half of the company. Felicity could see it coming a mile away, since the Palmer Tech Board had been in contact with Naruto and Star Labs about a prospective acquisition, similar to what he did with Stag Industries. Star Labs was more profitable than ever, but Palmer Tech was in decline, and they wanted to go. It hadn't gone anywhere because Naruto wasn't there because he was dealing with Zoom and stuck in the multiverse, but Felicity felt the board wanted to increase their profits and didn't believe in her. While she was offended by their lack of faith, she wasn't a businesswoman, and being CEO was exhausting. Naruto handled it with ease, although he was a speedster. He could do anything and had more than enough science and technology to go around. And he wasn't some avaricious corporate tycoon out to destroy everything. If anything, he'd do something similar to what he did with Stag Industries and refit that company to match Star Laboratories' procedures, policies, and products. No one lost their employment, and they were able to hire new employees, which was beneficial to Star City. Naruto may help save Palmer's technology until Ray returned to grab it. Yes, that is correct. I've been in contact with the Palmer Tech Board, and possible negotiations are underway. They are willing to sign over their shares of Palmer Technologies, and as a result, I would be co-owner of the company and help expand the business and Star Labs in Star City, Naruto responded. Which would be really good for Star City and allow Team Green Arrow to continue operating, Felicity remarked as she continued to sign paperwork. What about Felicity Smoke, the current CEO of Palmer Technologies? The company has been stagnant ever since Ray Palmer died in an accident, and many are quick to blame her, Ariel Atkins observed. Oh, rude, Felicity reacted angrily. It wasn't totally her fault. I am actually very familiar with Felicity Smoke as well as Ray Palmer, and if he chose her as his successor, then she believed in what he did. Anyone else in her position would have gutted the company, cut their losses, and done everything they could to make themselves money with zero regard for the employees. Felicity instead chose to fight and ensure that everyone at Palmer Tech would keep a job while she came up with a solution, and I greatly admire her for that. Oh, that's so sweet, Felicity said, wiping away a tear from the corner of her eye. Star Labs would be more than willing to establish and maintain a healthy and cooperative partnership with Palmer Technologies going forward, regardless of whether that entails me presiding over all of Palmer Tech or half of it with Felicity Smoke, Naruto remarked. Oh, you can have it, Naruto, Felicity grumbled as she signed one stack of papers and moved on to the next. This is so annoying. Only someone with no other responsibilities, no life, or super speed could run a successful business. 2. Freeland. Despite being a great-sized community, Freeland appeared to be just like any other in Georgia. Although not as large as Atlanta, it is arguably the state's second-largest city. The city had a crime problem due to a local gang called the 100, but Freeland was unique because it was the home of the vigilante known as Black Lightning. Before the Flash and Impulse arrived in Central City, this was the first true metahuman. He was also a metahuman because no ordinary person can blast lightning from their palms. Black Lightning had been guarding Freeland for years when he vanished one night and was never seen again. People assumed he was dead for a long time, but he wasn't. He recently retired. Jefferson Pierce, a former Olympic decathlon gold medalist from the 1996 Atlanta Games, lived in a lovely two-story quaint suburb home. Rather than follow his celebrity down an unfavorable path, he stayed in Freeland and became an instructor while simultaneously moonlighting as Black Lightning. Years of warfare took their toll on Black Lightning and Jefferson, both physically and mentally, until he retired. Jefferson was still struggling with the fallout from his divorce from Lynn Stewart, but for years he was able to focus on becoming an educator to help youngsters achieve great things while also being present for his kids. As a teacher and eventually as principal of Garfield High School, he impacted more people than he ever did as Black Lightning. That's what he told himself, at least. While things weren't the same as they had been, he and Lynn remained on good terms, which was a good thing because, despite their divorce, they were like any other family. Particularly for their two daughters. Anissa, the eldest, was attending college to study medicine while also teaching part-time at Garfield High School. Jennifer, the youngest, had just begun her freshman year at Garfield. Jefferson was the principal, so he could keep an eye on his girls, and Lynn worked as a neuroscientist at the university, so the two were always available for their children. Breakfast was being served at the Pierce residence. Lynn and Anissa turned on the television to watch the Ariel Atkins Hour interview with Star Labs CEO Naruto Namikaze. Jennifer was merely leaning on the counter, casually scrolling through her phone, while Jefferson, Lynn, and Anissa were cleaning up. "Do you plan on helping at all?" Anissa inquired of her sister, who was not. "What? I'm watching the interview," Jennifer said, although she wasn't. She was simply covering her butt for not assisting. "I've got to admit, that Naruto guy is pretty hot." "I wasn't expecting to hear that," Jefferson said as he put the leftovers in the refrigerator. "I'm surprised even by myself because I didn't think I'd have a thing for geeks," Jennifer said. "That's a little mean, Jennifer. Just because someone is a scientist doesn't mean they're a geek," her mother said. "Plus, have you seen him? He's clearly got some muscles under that suit," Anissa continued, smiling. "He's the smartest man on the planet, fighting climate change on his own while making insane phones and watches. He's the king of geeks. Speaking of which, when am I going to get one of those cool smartwatches?" Jennifer mused. "Not anytime soon. You don't even look up from your phone. If we get you a watch, you'll never look up from your wrist," Jefferson stated, making Lynn and Anissa laugh. "Anyway, geek or not, I think it's amazing how much he's accomplished in less than a year. The guy is single-handedly saving the planet," Jennifer stated. "He is. The environmental group at the university has been using Star Labs oxyhydrin bacteria and the campus has never been cleaner. The biology department is even setting up work programs with the students to use the bacteria out in the city. It's doing in minutes what used to take hours. And the air is getting a little cleaner," Lynn explained. "Well, I think it's great that someone is all talk and no action. After all those false promises, it's nice to see someone who sticks to his word and backs it up, all without profit," Anissa remarked. "It's true. Any other company would charge exorbitant prices, but not Star Labs. Everything is reasonable," Jefferson conceded as they watched the interview. Star Labs has quickly risen to take a place as a Fortune 500 company with an estimated net worth of over $8 billion, and that is a conservative estimate. "By all accounts, you are one of the world's youngest billionaires in control of one of the most relevant laboratories and companies. How has this affected your personal life?" "I'm not going to lie, it's been a change. The funds and profits that Star Labs has made from our success have allowed me to pay all of my employees exceptionally well salaries, which they deserve. I'll wake up, go about my normal routine, work at Star Labs on the problems of the day, get a workout in, enjoy time with friends and family, rinse and repeat," Naruto replied. "What kind of workout are we talking about? I'm sure many are wondering how a brilliant scientist stays in shape with his time spent solving future problems," Ariel inquired, keeping things lighthearted. Naruto responded, "Nothing special. Cardio and some moderate calisthenics, but mostly martial arts." "Oh, martial arts? So, the CEO of Star Labs is also a deadly warrior?" "Not lethal, but martial arts is just a way for me to stay in shape and protect myself in case something crazy happens. It's what I did before, and nothing will change," Naruto joked. I'll admit, he's humble, and the fact that he works out is nice, but the geek talk just killed it for me, Jennifer said. I don't know. It's kind of charming in a way. He's handsome, he's not a socially awkward scientist, and I like the birthmarks on his face. They make him look more wild, and I just want to run my fingers over them. Anissa pointed out, noticing her family's strange reaction. What? Do you seem to have a crush on him? Jennifer inquired, almost incredulously, given that her sister had informed them that she was queer. When Anissa paused after recalling her remarks, she looked at Naruto again and found herself enjoying his appearance. I'm not sure about a crush, but I have to admit I find him quite attractive. That, and for the first time, I found the prospect of dating a man enticing. Her mother and father exchanged surprised looks when she told them she was gay. Neither of them had expected that, but then again, what parents would? Thankfully, they weren't upset or disgusted by their daughter's confession. The two were quite understanding but requested a little time to talk about it and come to terms with it. When they did, the two came to accept her and her sexual orientation. Anissa, does this mean that you're... Jefferson tried to finish but found himself uncomfortable in this topic of his daughter's sexual preferences, which had been uncomfortable when she came out to them and was still uncomfortable now. Bixuel? Anissa finished for him, a puzzled expression on her face. I don't know. I mean, is this a confirmation, or is it simply a phase? I have no idea. Well, you're definitely raising the bar for the guys if you are, Jennifer joked, referring to her sister's new probable romantic interest as a guy with qualities far beyond normal. Hey, I can have an opinion, can't I? Anissa objected defensively. Besides, don't you wish the boys were more like him? You know, smart, confident, polite, and all that good stuff? I'm not complaining about boys yet, Jennifer said, pointing out that the majority of the boys at school were okay. Given how everyone respected and admired her father and had been nurtured and taught to look after one another. The school felt almost like a village, with students conversing and unfriending one another. And see to it that you don't, young lady, Lynn admonished her before turning to her eldest daughter. As for you, sweetie, if you develop an interest in him, me and your father will be fine with it because it means you'll marry up. A billionaire will mean expensive vacations and a lot of cool free stuff. I really want to try one of those hologram things, Jennifer said, wondering about the places they may travel on vacation. She was determined to visit the Bahamas or Hawaii. You might actually get a chance, Jefferson said, turning up the volume. Your Star Labs Foundation has been used to help expand the use of your environmentally friendly products such as your oxyhydrin bacteria. What other charitable and non-profit endeavors do you hope to undertake? Ariel inquired of Naruto. First, charitable donations and support for education. I've always been a big believer in education, as have my parents, so the Star Labs Foundation will be working with school districts all across the country. Everyone should have access to a high-quality education, and with Star Labs we hope to make that a reality. Public school funding for new and updated teaching materials, after-school programs, higher quality food in cafeterias, and even enough funding to allow school districts to maintain their school buses, as well as scholarship programs for university-level educations. As Star Labs grows, we hope to expand our educational funding globally. The Star Labs Foundation hopes to make numerous contributions, and these are just the beginning, Naruto assured. Lynn inquired of Jefferson, has Star Labs reached out to Garfield? They actually have, as have the other schools in the district. Charitable donations for new school material, including those holographic workstations for all the classrooms, school renovations, after-school activities, and even raises in faculty pay, which a lot of teachers were happy to hear about, Jefferson responded. Okay, he's earning some more brownie points with me, Jennifer conceded. Jefferson commented, I think he's a little old for you, Jennifer. Not me, though, Anissa said, as the benefits of being the elder sister were beginning to pay out. Now, but who knows what could happen in a few years, Jennifer said, but the frown her father gave her told her to stop. Okay, maybe Anissa still has a chance? Lynn pointed to the TV screen and said, I think everyone is out of luck there. We've talked about your work in the Star Labs, but not so much about you. What do you have to say about Naruto Namikaze? Do you have any special people in your life, or will you become one of the world's most eligible bachelors like Bruce Wayne? Ariel inquired, her tone light and fun. There's not much to say, but I can say that I'm taken, Naruto chuckled. She's currently in the studio with me. That's right there. Aim those cameras at her, Naruto instructed, and one of the cameramen swiveled the camera so that it was aimed at Linda, who blushed and buried her face behind her palm. Damn. Jennifer made a joke about Anissa's pout. How come the good ones are always taken? 3. Paris, France. A tall, beautiful woman with brunette hair tied up in a bun was working in the Louvre Museum's restoration department, wearing a nice white dress and expertly tending to one of the old Greek marble statues that the museum had received for an exhibit. This was Diana Prince, one of the museum's chief reconstruction experts and historians. She'd been at the museum for a few years, and her work had helped the Louvre to restore many priceless pieces of history. Unbeknownst to her coworkers and the rest of the world, she was much older than she appeared, and she wasn't a standard historical artifact reconstruction expert. She was listening to the Ariel Atkins interview with Naruto on a computer on one of the desks while working, much like you would listen to music or a podcast while working out. With Star Labs' advancing scientific progress and technology, and the arc reactor's popularity as a clean, renewable energy source, I'm sure governments have reached out to establish contracts with you in the future. You mentioned contracts with the Department of Energy to recycle nuclear waste, but do you have any other projects in the works for Star Labs? Ariel inquired of Naruto. A few. As you said, one of them is the Department of Energy's recycling and waste contract to treat and recycle nuclear waste, as well as the possibility of employing arc reactor technology on larger power grids. Collaboration with the FDA for all medical improvements, as well as the Department of Education and some defense contracts, are all on the table. When we introduced the arc reactor, I announced Star Labs' XO-1 body armor project as well as Project ICER. Our defensive products have made significant progress with local and federal law enforcement agencies such as the police and FBI. Our body armor protects them, and the ICERs incapacitate criminals without endangering bystanders. The Department of Defense has awarded Star Labs a contract to purchase our revolutionary XO-1 body armor vests, ICERs, and other protective equipment, more protective troop carriers and armored vehicles, Star Labs VTOL Quinjets, multi-spectrum field goggles for a full field of view on the battlefield, new advanced medical kits, and new scanners and sensors to detect mines, IEDs, and other dangerous hazards our soldiers face in the field, but all strictly defensive measures, Naruto replied. Really? Many corporations profit handsomely from government contracts for weapon development. Ariel mentioned Star Labs as an example of such a corporation. It's true that if I were born without a moral compass or consciousness, I would have no qualms about designing advanced weapons that would undoubtedly throw our world into chaos or plunge it into the apocalypse depicted in science fiction films. I enjoy my life and have friends and family, so I will not allow power-hungry politicians or war-crazed generals to push me to design weapons that would result in more deaths. Star Labs is here to help the world, not to bring it to an end, Naruto remarked. Let them be the architects of the world's demise. I'm more than happy to be its savior. Ariel applauded. Very well said. Diana smirked as one of her coworkers entered the repair room after hearing everything. Lunch? Diana? One of her coworkers inquired, and everyone nodded. She nodded and set her tools down before heading over to her office to get her jacket and purse. She paused for a moment and opened her drawer, pulling out a picture frame. Hiding a photo in her desk was unusual because of the contents of the photo, which was an old black and white photo from the 1910s during World War I. It was a photograph of her with a group of people. Diana Prince was just the name she used now, but her true identity was something special, and she was far older than she looked. In the photo, she was wearing armor and wielding a shield and sword. Standing beside her were an American Army pilot, a Moroccan spy, a Scottish marksman, and a Native American smuggler, but also with her were several other people, all of whom were wearing strange clothing that wasn't from the time. A woman of Egyptian descent, a blonde woman wielding a bow staff, a man in a metal suit, a woman in a black and white suit with a visor, and a Japanese-American man in a white and crimson suit were also in the group. The only odd thing was that the photo was taken in 1918, and Naruto wasn't born until decades later. Diana smiled affectionately at the photograph before putting it away, knowing she'd see him and the others again soon. Coast City, United States. Coast City was named after the Pacific Coast and was a typical Southern California city that was a 30-minute drive from Edward U.S. Air Force Base, making it home to many Air Force pilots and staff, as well as Ferris Air. Ferris Air was an aviation company based in Coast City and was once known as one of the world's leading specialists in advanced aviation concepts, but the company has had a bit of a slump recently. Captain Hal Jordan, a former Air Force pilot, was found in a Central City hospital about 2 years ago. He was the test pilot who went missing, and his test flight was labeled an accident due to inclement weather. Jordan had no recollection of the accident or how he wound up at the hospital, at least that's what he told doctors, police, and Ferris Air. After the incident, the company was in a slump, but some saving grace came in the form of Star Labs, who wanted to collaborate with Ferris Air to advance their research and development of their VTOL Quinjet platform. Some new models and prototypes were already being built, with pilots testing the ones Star Labs and Wayne Enterprises had sent over. One of the test pilots was Hal Jordan, who managed to get his job back at Ferris Air. Hal had just changed while watching Ariel Atkins' interview with his boss's new partner, Moneybag. Now, some recent news and announcements have piqued my interest, such as Star Labs Avionics and your aerospace division partnering with Ferris Air in Coast City, is that correct? Yes, it is, Naruto said. You'll understand that this caught many people off guard. Ferris Air is a well-known avionics company that tests new planes, but they've had a difficult time since one of their test pilots was nearly murdered. Why did you decide to collaborate with them when you already have your own avionics division? Ariel inquired. For one thing, I'd hate to see such a notable and important company fail due to a single accident. Ferris Air has done incredible work in the realm of avionics, and I'd had to witness all of that go due to an accident that none of them anticipated coming. Ferris Air is an essential enterprise in Coast City, and many people rely on it, so I hope we can keep it going. We guarantee a new era of avionics and even aeronautical potential with Star Laboratories working with Ferris Air and assistance from Wayne Enterprises. I spoke with Carol Ferris, the president of Ferris Air, and we are both optimistic about the future of our collaboration. She was especially interested by the prospect of constructing a new sort of space shuttle. With Star Labs resources at our disposal, perhaps it won't be long before we can take regular vacation trips to the moon. Naruto replied. Hal couldn't help but laugh. Regular travels to the moon? Guy is deluded, but he has a nice heart and will keep things running here. Hal hung up his clothing, taking additional care to conceal a green ring in his jacket pocket, which he placed in his locker before stepping out to the hangar. Amnesty Bay, Maine, United States. Despite the fact that it was still early for a bar, a few regulars were present at Terry's sunken galleon in Amnesty Bay, Maine. No one other than a few locals would be in the bar before noon, and in this case, two of those regulars were lighthouse keeper Thomas Curry and his son, Arthur. The two were having their morning breakfast, which consisted of beer, of course. The two finished their first large mugs of beer, with Thomas finishing his quickly and no problem while his son Arthur lagged behind. Thomas was of Polynesian descent, so Arthur shared his features and skin color but was much larger and physically built with more muscles and tattoos, wearing a pair of heavy boots, jeans, a black tank top and vest, and his Mori stone necklace Thomas gave to him years ago. You need a bendy straw for that? Thomas laughed as he watched his son drink his beer. Arthur threw the mug down after finishing the beer. Gah, I almost got you. Yeah, keep telling yourself that, boy, Thomas joked as the bartender approached and handed them 2 new beers. Thanks, Terry, Thomas said. The two sipped their beers as they stared up at the corner, where a TV was showing Naruto's interview, which was big news and could be seen on any TV everywhere. We've discussed how Star Labs is advancing the science and technology industries by years with innovations that many are calling futuristic, but the cost of this type of innovation is that certain industries and products become obsolete. One example would be your work with the arc reactor in clean, renewable energy, effectively profiting and expanding from other types such as solar, wind, and hydro, Ariel told him. That is correct, and it is my deepest regret about everything. I don't wish to put companies or hardworking people out of business, which is why Star Laboratories' mission will be to promote science in a collaborative manner rather than in a single direction. No one was dismissed or driven out of their jobs at any of these enterprises, as we have done with our relationship with Wayne Enterprises and my acquisition of Stag Industries. Star Laboratories has prepared so much work that no one will be short of work, and instead, specific jobs or responsibilities in firms will be shifted to better adapt individuals to the new corporate climate and goals set for them. Stag Industries is a terrific firm, but its former CEO, Simon Stagg, was more concerned with earnings and padding his own pocket, which he frequently did by cutting employee pay or altering profit margins so he received a larger percentage of the money. When Star Labs took over the company, all of that changed, and instead, all employees, from the janitor to one of the board members, were given better pay proportional to their value to the company, ensuring that all employees are able to work collaboratively and efficiently towards their new goals. If I bought Palmer Tech, Ferris Air, or any other company, the same thing would happen to them. That being said, Some changes in leadership or terminations will occur, but those cases will be in removing bad influences on a company, Naruto said, and certain changes will occur regardless of my best efforts. These changes refer to changes in the energy market as well as technology brought about by your arc reactor and sterium products, Ariel explained, and Naruto nodded. It doesn't take a scientist to tell you that by incorporating the arc reactor into city power grids and, hopefully, larger regional power systems in the future, our reliance on fossil fuels will diminish and soon become obsolete. With the conversion of Central City to the arc reactor, the city's dependency on oil is tightly limited to heating or car usage, which affects groups or companies with an interest in oil and fossil resources, Naruto remarked. And to those individuals, I would like to emphasize that my intention is not to destroy your livelihood, but rather to solve larger societal problems such as clean, renewable energy and climate change. Oil and other fossil fuels will not endure forever, and rather than waiting for the inevitable day when supply shortages force gas prices to spike and turmoil ensues, Star Laboratories is doing everything it can to ensure that day never arrives. We are already in the final phases of developing a new clean-burning petroleum, crude oil replacement that can be converted and utilized in the same manner as its fossil fuel cousin. Again, this is done to address problems, which is my primary role as a scientist, Naruto added. Could this synthetic oil be used in the same way that natural crude oil is used for energy and fuel? Ariel inquired. That is correct. It's entirely synthetic, and it was discovered by chance while we were making more sterium. Using arc reactor muon energy, we can convert naturally existing carbon atoms into synthetic hydrocarbon atoms, which are the building blocks of crude oil. However, the treatment clarifies the sulfuric and poisonous properties of the hydrocarbons, allowing them to be employed as clean-burning fuel. Because the procedure requires an ARC reactor, synthesis and processing are sluggish because there is only one now operational, but once more arc reactors are developed and operational, we will be able to create more synthetic oil and sterium to meet world demand, Naruto responded. So you're saying that given enough time, Star Labs could produce enough synthetic oil to meet public demand? Ariel inquired. There's a chance. An accessible, consistent supply of oil that is not subject to international travel tariffs or shifting markets caused by global wars. The same goes with our sterium. Prices for circuit boards and other related parts would no longer skyrocket if a man-made version of tantalum existed that was not hampered by blockades, tariffs, or the political maneuverings of faraway world powers. Easy access to raw materials would solve one of the world's problems and, hopefully, bring us closer to solving the others, Naruto stated. It sounds like you're trying to save the world, Ariel observed, and Naruto responded with a chuckle. I suppose I am, but I'm only doing my part. I know there are others out there who share my beliefs, and I can't wait to collaborate with them. In a few years, we'll see what history has to say about our efforts, Naruto hoped. What are your thoughts? Thomas inquired of Arthur. Kind of a naive optimist if you ask me, Arthur said, adding, I'm sure many promised the same thing as him and never delivered. I'm not sure, he seems to mean it, Terry the bartender replied. I agree, Thomas said, but the difference between him and other politicians or business leaders is that he can probably follow through on what he's offering. I'm not sure the power guys would like that, Arthur said as he sipped his beer, but the kid has cleaned up the ocean, and it's much cleaner when I swim. As he drank his beer, Thomas chuckled. That was probably the most optimistic thing Arthur could say. With Star Labs in place, things should improve for the seas. Thomas had no idea that his kid and the CEO of Star Labs would become fast friends. Japan, Tokyo. It was late at night in Tokyo, Japan, thus the city's nightlife came alive. On the outskirts of Tokyo's hustle and bustle stood a huge house whose splendor and price would be the envy of the world's richest and elite. This manor was owned by one of Japan's oldest and most powerful families. It served as both a historical foundation for the family and a power declaration to outsiders. Someone in one of the manor's chambers was viewing the Ariel Atkins interview with Naruto Namikaze on a computer. Despite being halfway around the world, this guy received the interview signal and stayed up late to see it in its entirety. You have made big plans and many big promises for the progress of Star Labs in the coming years, working locally here in Central City but also across the country. Any plans to expand Star Labs internationally? Ariel questioned Naruto. That is the hope, for sure. Star Labs is an internationally recognized company, and we'd be more than happy to expand to other countries. Science isn't confined to a single location, so I'm happy to expand globally. Star Labs is already in talks with the United Kingdom and the United Nations for our clean energy resources, as well as our environmentally friendly products and endeavors. It's all in the early stages, but we'll expand abroad when we're able, Naruto said. Well, we're almost out of time, so we'll have to wrap this up. Do you have any final words for our audience? Naruto sat up and stared directly at the camera, saying, of course. This was a lot to take in. A lot of scientific talk that many people probably don't understand, and I don't blame them. Putting aside all of the science and Star Labs talk, I'd like to say to everyone watching that everything Star Labs and I have done is the result of the efforts of many motivated, intelligent, and ambitious individuals. Despite being up here alone, I can't take all the credit because I wouldn't have gotten this far without their help, and I hope that one day you can be a part of that. You don't have to be a scientist or a genius to make a difference. Not every scientist is a genius, and not every genius needs to be a scientist. Someone once told me that genius is never about proving yourself smarter or better than others, or about elevating yourself above your fellow man. True genius is about elevating what you do to a new level, whether it's science, mathematics, engineering, sports, music, or life itself. Those who seek fame, riches, or personal advancement will only detract from what they are attempting, but those who put their heart, soul, warmth, drive, and humanity into it can propel it to new heights. I wouldn't be where I am without the people in my life, and I will never forget that. It's because of them that I can do what I can, and it's why I promised myself a long time ago that I would do things for the right reasons, and I hope that one day you will be able to join me and many others. Well said, Naruto. Unfortunately, that's all for today. Hopefully, this is only the first of many visits. To all our viewers, my name is Ariel Atkins, and thank you for joining us. As the individual watching the video gently shut off the computer before reaching for the phone to make a call, an advertisement played. Central City, United States. As the show ended, the production assistants removed Naruto's microphone from the Ariel Atkins studio. Thank you again, Naruto. I think a lot of people enjoyed it, Ariel Atkins said. Thank you, Ariel, it was a fantastic experience that we hope to repeat, he said. I'd be delighted, she said as Linda and Jiraiya approached and joined Naruto. You were amazing, Linda said as she hugged him and kissed him on the cheek. You were. I kind of dozed off for a while, but for the parts one saw, it was fine, Jiraiya said. I believe you will make the news cycle. Are you prepared for that? When Naruto felt his smartwatch beep, he exclaimed, born ready. When he looked down, he noticed it was a text from his cousin, Karen. She was in New York for medical school and texted that she saw the interview and thought he did fantastic. Naruto grinned and texted back thanks, promising to meet her in January when he was in New York. When his smartwatch received a call, he assumed it was from Barry or Cisco, but it wasn't. It wasn't even a number from the United States, but from Japan. Naruto took a few seconds to recognize the number and figure out who was calling. His mood quickly deteriorated when he hit the ignore button on his smartwatch. Are you alright, kid? Jiraiya inquired. Yeah, I'm fine, Naruto told him and Linda, taking a big breath and regaining his smile. I'm hungry. Would you like to get lunch? Sure. You're buying, Jiraiya said, looking at Naruto and Linda. You're now a billionaire, kid. Get used to paying for everything. Jiraiya chuckled as they approached the exit. Linda said to Naruto, you know he's right. I know, Naruto replied, but even before I was a billionaire, Jiraiya never picked up a bill. And I'm not going to start now, Jiraiya said, making Linda and Naruto shake their heads in amazement. After a few hours, Dr. Christina McGee was in her office at Mercury Labs in Central City going over some paperwork, which was mostly simply completing approval forms for projects or reallocating monies for different departments. This was one of the sad but necessary duties of a company's supervisor, and even more so of a CEO. Dr. McGee was an excellent scientist, but paperwork made her want to stab her eyes out, as it did many others in her position. Beep. Dr. McGee was interrupted in her workflow when her desk phone chimed, prompting her to punch a button. Yes, Philip? Sorry to bother you, Dr. McGee, but there is someone here to see you. Dr. McGee told her assistant, I wasn't aware of any visitors I had scheduled to visit. This isn't a scheduled visitor, Dr. McGee. It's Naruto Namikaze from Star Labs. He says he's here to see you and drop off a gift. Dr. McGee wasn't expecting Naruto to appear or bring a present. They maintained a friendly relationship, but she was his main competitor. Star Labs had surpassed Mercury Labs in popularity, and their work was genuinely innovative. This was either Naruto being really honest or part of some horrible joke. Send him up, Philip, but keep my security team on standby. Yes, Dr. McGee. When there was a knock at her door and a member of her security team entered with Naruto holding a heavy box, she hid any critical documents in her desk and encrypted all the files on her computer. Thank you, Charles, Dr. McGee replied as the security guy nodded and exited. Naruto set the box down and approached Dr. McGee, shaking his hand. Naruto, it's good to see you. I wasn't expecting to see you today. Thank you for seeing me. I apologize for dropping in unannounced, but there was something I needed to do. Naruto took up the box and transferred it to one of the office tables. This is yours. Consider it an early Christmas present. Naruto undid the latches on the box, revealing the huge Tachyon prototype stolen by the Reverse Flash last year. The small Tachyon core in the center is encircled by a square outer protective core and 4 power conduit limbs. When they discovered that Eobard Thawne was Harrison Wells and discovered the Time Vault, they discovered the Tachyon prototype. Parts of it, at least. Thawne has built the quantum splicer for Ronnie and Professor Stein to stabilize Firestorm using components of the Tachyon device. The prototype was rendered worthless when the parts were removed. Given what was going on with the Reverse Flash, the crew left it lying about until Zoom appeared. Now that Naruto was back, he repaired it and intended to return it to Dr. McGee as a sign of good faith. It didn't matter because he understood more about it than she did and could create a new, even better one, which he had done. A Tachyon prototype? Inquired Dr. McGee. No, it's your Tachyon prototype, which the Reverse Flash stole from you last year while I was working with the CCPD, Naruto clarified, surprising Dr. McGee. She had not expected to hear that. The Flash and Impulse came to see me at Star Labs after the Singularity and Dr. Wells' death. After beating him, they were able to recover your prototype, but it was damaged. They brought it to me to fix it as best they could and then return it. It took months for me to repair the damage and replace what was missing, but I did it. Naruto spoke out of his butt in that situation, and his ability to make things up on the fly would be useful to him in the future. Plus, with his lightning-fast mind, he could come up with 1,000 reasons and such to cover his ass in any situation. I don't believe it. I never thought I'd see it again. Dr. McGee examined it and noticed that some of the original pieces had been replaced, most likely due to damage or, as Naruto stated, being gone. Why did you return it? You had this in your possession, so why didn't you keep it? I'm not going to lie and say I didn't think about it, but it belonged to you, and Star Labs and the CCPD weren't able to protect it when it was stolen, so you deserve to have it back. Not to mention that Flash and Impulse threatened to put me in jail if I didn't do the right thing and return it to its rightful owner. They also raced around Star Labs to make sure I didn't grab any data from the prototype, which took hours to clean up after they raced around it, Naruto said. Again, a lie, but a very nice one. You have no idea how much this means to me, Naruto, Dr. McGee remarked. I'll admit that I was a little concerned about your visit today. After all, you are Mercury Labs' main competitor. I understand and appreciate it, but I'm not a greedy corporate monster, just a scientist looking to do his part to help the world, and I'm hoping that this gesture of good faith will keep things amicable between Star Labs and Mercury Labs, and perhaps one day we can work collaboratively on a project, Naruto said as he extended his hand. Dr. McGee gazed at it for a moment before shaking his head and smiling. I do have some thoughts on your arc reactor technology. And I welcome all collaborative help, and perhaps one day Mercury Labs could collaborate with Star Labs on our aerospace division, as I'm hoping to take humans off the planet soon enough, Naruto added. That sounds like a fantastic idea, she said, smiling. Can you get you something to drink? I can't stay. I have some plans with friends I need to get to, but I'll keep in touch, Naruto said before departing. Dr. McGee waved goodbye and examined her Tachyon prototype when she found a folded piece of paper in the case and pulled it out to read. Although I may have taken some liberties with the Tachyon field generation shell, I hope I was able to recreate it near enough to the original concept. It should increase power output while reducing waste heat. For improved energy efficiency, you could test a different polymer blend with the material. Naruto. As she folded the note and closed the box, Dr. McGee smiled. Naruto was a true genius, and working alongside him would be preferable to competing. Star Laboratories Naruto had returned to Star Labs and was hiding behind the observation glass in one of the training rooms. Jiraiya, Minato, Kushina, and Mito accompanied him, while Linda went to CCPN to submit in an article. Barry was at the CCPD with Joe, Iris was at the CCPN, and Wells and Jesse returned to Earth 2 for a short while to begin restoration operations now that Zoom was gone. They had some job to accomplish, and because they could easily come and go with the extrapolator, Wells wanted to get some work done. Jiraiya stood next to Naruto and his parents as they monitored vital signs on tablets. Mito was also among them, but she was pulled up onto Jiraiya's shoulders, with Kurama sitting on the old pervert's head. It was lovely, and despite Jiraiya's rough exterior, he couldn't say no to her, despite the fox perched on his head. He just hoped Kurama didn't have to use the restroom. Naruto was keeping an eye on Cisco because this was the first of many future training sessions to help him better train his new talents. Barry's training took place after he had finished working. Cisco wore vibrational gauntlets and vibe goggles and had nodes placed about his body to monitor his vitals. "Okay, Cisco, are you ready?" Naruto inquired over the PA system. "Yeah, but what am I supposed to do again?" Cisco pondered. "Take a deep breath and focus," Minato said, and Cisco did. "Your visions are only one part of your power, and you have a handle on it with your new goggles, but your overall powers are a little more complicated. Your ability, like your Earth 2 doppelganger, is the manipulation of dimensional energy. A psychic link to reality's natural energies allowing you to connect to various vibrations." Cisco deduced, "That's how my vibes work." "Yes," Minato explained, "your vibes are multidimensional wavelengths invisible to even the best scientific equipment but not to metahumans like you or Reverb." "Dope name," Cisco remarked. "Think of them as echoes that only you can pick up on, but when your powers were still developing, you needed triggers to see them. With your goggles and more training, we should be able to make it easier to use your vibes, and theoretically, you could use your powers to open up a dimensional breach into the multiverse," Kushina explained, and Cisco was intrigued. "But, to avoid you accidentally breaching and ending up on a world in a second ice age, we're going to hold off on testing that," Naruto warned. Cisco nodded. "Right, good idea. We'll start with the basics. Your doppelganger was able to generate concussive blasts of vibrational energy, which means you should be able to do the same. Barry and I aren't expecting you to go out into the field, but like Linda, if an emergency arises, you can defend yourself," Naruto explained. "Sounds good. How do I get my vibe on?" Cisco inquired. "I don't know. My powers were simple, and I just ran," Naruto remarked. "Take a deep breath and clear your mind, and I mean completely clear it. No thoughts, no quips, nothing. Just breathe and find your center." Cisco did as Naruto instructed, closed his eyes and taking long breaths. They were keeping an eye on his vitals, which were stable, but they weren't picking up on any odd energy readings or brain activity. Clearly, activating the remainder of Cisco's abilities would be difficult. There was no unusual activity, no sign of him tapping into anything, Minato said. "Well, how a metahuman discovers and uses their powers isn't an exact science yet," Kushina speculated. "Perhaps a fight or flight stimulus could be a factor?" "I've got an idea. Heads up, Cisco," Naruto typed on the iPad. "Heads up for what?" Cisco inquired, and a split second later, 3 mechanical turrets appeared from the ground, laser sights trained on him. "Whoa, what is this?" "Motivation," Naruto said, and the 2 turrets began firing BB pellets at Cisco, forcing him to hide. "Ow, shit. Damn it. Naruto, stop this, ow, damn it." Cisco yelled as he covered up and jumped around in an attempt to escape being hit, which didn't work. "There has been no change other than a spike in his vitals and pain," Kushina said. "This is going to take some time," Naruto confessed as he and the others continued to watch Cisco get shot at. It was hilarious, and Naruto felt a sense of accomplishment. Cisco had done the same thing when he first began out, so the tables had been flipped. Despite the satisfaction of witnessing Cisco become harmed, it would take some time for him to learn and control his vibrational blast talents. XXXXX line break City of Stars. It was late at night in Star City, and a Federal Reserve armored vehicle was on its way to Star City National Bank to replenish its cash supply. The guards inside the vehicle were on high alert since things were tense in Star City to say the least. A new danger known as the Ghosts had surfaced and appeared to be waging war on Star City. It started with minor things like robbing banks or jewelry stores and progressed to stealing munitions, heavy weapons, and assassinating persons in power. They were definitely working for someone who desired Star City. Green Arrow and his crew had been fighting them non-stop since they first appeared in August, but this wasn't simply a gang of thugs, but more of a private army. They were known as the Ghosts because they couldn't be identified, and if they were ever found, they chewed cyanide capsules. Things in Star City weren't precisely bad, but they weren't great either. When the driver of the armored truck noticed two persons approaching the car on motorcycles, he reached for his radio. "This is Field Crew 237, we're at the Star City Bank, and we're under attack and need help right away." When a truck drove down the junction, the armored truck driver diverted to the side and crashed through a fence. When he heard a thud and saw a woman in black up on the roof of the truck, he was concussed and managed to jump out of the vehicle as a ghost approached him and leveled his assault gun. Sonic scream. As a result of Black Canary's canary cry, the ghost was thrown back. Green Arrow, Arsenal, and Speedy exited on 3 bikes and scrambled for cover as many ghosts emerged from the truck on the street and opened fire on them. When another ghost approached the truck, Black Canary leapt down and knocked him back. She disarmed him and kneed him in the side before kicking out his right leg and slamming her tonfa across his neck and face. The ghost fell to the ground, but another attacked her from behind with his rifle, only to be hit by Spartan's van. "The ghosts are about to steal the armored car," Black Canary informed him. "Yeah, looks like they're going back to basics," Spartan observed as they ran over to secure it, but scrambled behind the van for protection from gunshots. When Green Arrow, Speedy, and Arsenal were each hit by arrows fired by the ghosts, they were pinned down by automatic fire. Arsenal then rolled forward and disoriented them with a flashbang arrow, while Speedy detained them with 2 Bolos arrows and Green Arrow knocked them out with taser arrows. One of the ghosts opened the armored truck's back door and tossed in a grenade, but a blur flew past his face and it was gone. Ahem. The ghost turned around to see Impulse holding the grenade. "Did you drop it?" When the ghost drew out his weapon, he was blasted from the side and sent sliding down the street. Dr. Light walked over to Impulse, her hands glowing from the light explosion. "Nice timing," he said, and she smirked as he supersped around the area, tying up the ghosts and sped away before coming back and forth in less than 2 seconds, and when he was finished, all the money in the truck had been sent to Star City National Bank via speedster delivery. He turned to see Green Arrow, Arsenal, Black Canary, Spartan, and Speedy looking at him with a smile on his face. Speedy was the only one who was perplexed, while everyone else was smiling. "I believe you owe me $5. See you later." He saluted them and picked up Dr. Light before fleeing the scene at breakneck speed. "What was Impulse doing here?" Green Arrow inquired. He said, "Helping us out." Felicity was working at the bunker's computers when a strong gust of wind blasted past her, knocking some papers down, but then a flash of light raced over the space, and everything returned to normal. "Nice place. Looks like my design translated well," Felicity said as she turned to see Naruto and Linda standing there in costume but without their masks, cowls. "Surprise, Felicity." "Oh, my God. Why didn't you tell me you were coming?" Felicity raced over and hugged him. He patted her back and said, "I did say surprise. How are you doing?" "Should I ask you that? You returned from the dead. What happened? All you said in the message was that you were back." "I'll explain, but I'd rather do that when the others get here. Makes it easier," Naruto remarked. "Hey, Felicity," Linda said as she hugged her, "it's good to see you." "You, too. Did you get a new suit? Are you now a superhero like Naruto?" Felicity inquired. When Naruto spotted something, Linda responded, "Not exactly, but if some help is ever needed, then I can lend a hand." "Whoa, what is this?" Naruto asked as he approached the construction of some of his concepts. "What did you guys do? Did you even look at my design Cisco sent over? I specifically stated that you should use copper wiring to handle the transmission and processing speed from the Palmer Tech and Star Lab satellites, or your system will overload. But it hasn't happened this week." Okay, it happened yesterday," Felicity admitted. I'll fix it. My reputation will suffer if I give you guys faulty tech or plans," Naruto stated before running around the bunker, repairing it at breakneck speed. "What kind of reputation?" Felicity inquired. Linda warned her, "Don't get him started." "By the way, Naruto, I saw your interview. Can I assume you're in Star City for more than just a helping hand, and you're here to talk to the Palmer Tech Board?" Felicity inquired. "Yup." Naruto answered, but his voice was garbled since he was traveling so fast. "I'll be meeting with them tomorrow morning. I saw your message that you found Ray. Will he be returning to Palmer Tech?" "I'm not sure. He's been back for a week, but he hasn't declared himself alive," Felicity said. "Well, I'm still more than happy to have a working partnership with Palmer Tech if Ray wants to come back. No problem. Hopefully, we'll be able to get Palmer Tech back in the green soon enough." Naruto paused in the middle of the bunker and washed his hands. Done. You shouldn't have any overload problems from now on. Thank God. You're a godsend, Naruto, and not just for helping others in the city, Felicity said as the elevator door opened and Oliver and others exited. Right on time. Naruto remarked, about time you guys showed up. Not all of us are as fast as you, Oliver said as he approached. The two exchanged glances before starting to smile and hugging. Glad to have you back. Glad to be back, and thanks for coming to help the others with Zoom as well, Naruto said before hugging Dig. You keeping Oliver out of trouble? Dig snorted. Yeah, like that's possible. I know, just thought I'd ask, Naruto said as Laurel hugged him next. We were so relieved to hear you're okay, Laurel said to him. Me, too, Naruto said, and I'm glad your sister is back. Felicity informed me of what had occurred. I'm glad she's returned, and I can't wait to meet her. Laurel smiled, and Roy stepped up to hug Naruto. Good to see you, Naruto. You too, Roy, and I'm guessing, like Dig, you're trying in vain to keep Oliver out of trouble? Naruto questioned. Yup, Roy chuckled, noticing the one extra person present. And you must be Oliver's sister, Thea. It's nice to meet you. Naruto smiled and shook her hand as Linda hugged Oliver and the others. You, too. Did I know we knew Impulse? Thea inquired of everyone. New to the group, huh? Naruto said, to which Oliver nodded. Hello, my name is Naruto, and I'm glad to meet you, Thea, and I'm glad to see that archery and crime fighting run in the family. Thank you, Thea said as Linda approached her and gave her a gentle hug. And who are you, Lady Impulse? No, Dr. Light. Linda opened her palm, which began to glow dazzling white before she dimmed it. Linda Park. Right. How do you guys know Oliver? Thea inquired. We had some mutual friends and eventually became closer, Oliver explained. In layman's terms, Oliver helped train me in the Flash when we first started out. We stayed connected, and I've helped out in Star City from time to time. A reminder that it's 5 times I've saved your butts or helped you guys. Tab is piling up. Naruto joked. I know, Oliver said. Relax. Friends and family get a discount, so it's down to 2, Naruto laughed. So, Naruto, what happened? Where were you? Felicity inquired. You were a little short on details in your message other than you were alive and would see us soon. Oh, you know how it goes. Fighting a psychotic evil speedster from the future, closing a world-ending singularity over Central City only to be blasted through a multi-dimensional gateway into a mirror Earth in the multiverse, then finding myself facing another evil speedster while trying to make my way back home, ping-ponging from Earth to Earth and ending up in the Speed Force before making my way back. I'm sorry, what? Dig said aloud, prompting Naruto to elaborate. Zoom got locked in the Speed Force but shortened it such that it just took a few minutes. I officially have heard everything. I wouldn't be too sure. Things can get pretty weird, Dig, Naruto said. Well, whatever happened, it's good to have you back, and Zoom is taken care of, Oliver explained. Thank you. It's been good to be back, and I'm acclimating. It also helps that my travels had some fringe benefits. Still working on your upgrades, but you'll have them soon enough, Naruto promised, and everyone waited. With everything at Star Laboratories being so advanced, new technology and gear from Naruto would be like an extra Christmas. So, these ghosts are more like a private military than criminals, and that ghost was about to burn all that money in the truck. The ghosts are just one part of it. They work for a man named Damien Darhk, who is the leader of a group called Hive, and we're still not sure what they want in Star City, Oliver continued. Well, it has to be something, because what does he gain from burning all that money? Roy wondered. Linda mentioned it, and everyone stared at her. Perhaps to keep it out of Star City. Could be a strategic move in crippling the city's infrastructure. One of my CCPN coworkers used to cover international armed conflicts, and he told me that stealing or destroying money was a tactic used by serious fringe groups. But why here? Why in Star City of all places? Thea inquired. Oliver described it as a base of operations. Hive would have to be able to operate from somewhere, and what better place than a deserted city? Given that Star City is still rebuilding a portion of the Glades from Malcolm Merlin's undertaking and then Deathstroke's attack, it makes sense. Maybe Hive suspected Star City as an easy target. If you guys weren't here, they'd probably have this city in their grasp by now, Naruto pointed out. Oliver remarked, unfortunately for them, we are. Any luck from that tooth we got off the Hive member we took down? Diggle questioned. Only that the deterioration of the DNA markers was not natural, Felicity replied. Which means it was caused by what? Laurel questioned. Felicity explained, Curtis and I have been trying to figure that out for the past month. Perhaps Ray will have better luck finding out, Oliver speculated. I'll ask, Felicity said. I can help as well after I finish Palmer Tech, Naruto said, and she nodded. The crew then parted ways, with Diggle and Oliver staying a little longer to discuss. The following day, Palmer Technical Institute, Star City. Naruto was in the elevator heading up to the top floor of the Palmer Tech building to meet with the board. He was dressed nicely. This was all to maintain his ruse that he was in Star City to finalize terms on a possible partnership with Star Labs or merger if Ray Palmer chose to resume his CEO duties. Felicity would speak to him, and they were now analyzing the tooth of the Hive soldier in order to acquire a lead. When he was finished, Naruto will go help them. Linda went to Oliver's campaign office to assist while pretending to be on a trip with her CEO boyfriend. She had already covered a few political campaigns, so she could advise Oliver on his platform, what to look for, and also give him a brief interview. Granted, a mayoral contest in another city would be unimportant in Central City, but it would provide more exposure for Oliver. While Laurel was at the DA's, Thea and Roy were at the campaign headquarters, and Diggle was still acting as Oliver's bodyguard. Naruto exited the elevator and was taken by the Palmer Tech security crew to the boardroom, where the board members were waiting. Mr. Namikaze, welcome to Palmer Tech. We were delighted to receive your message, remarked one of the board members. It's a pleasure to be here, and please refer to me as Naruto, he said before taking a seat across from the board members. As I stated over the phone, the purpose of this meeting is to iron out any specific details and points regarding our future partnership, and I already spoke with Ms. Smoke prior to my arrival, and she informed me that she would need to think about the offer, but she did not deny the possibility or appeal of Star Labs acquiring the remaining shares of the company that resided with the board. Excellent. What about her shares? One of the board members inquired. That remains to be seen, but depending on how the situation develops in the future, we can return to that, Naruto said as he took several folders of papers from his briefcase. Shall we begin now? Thus began several hours of conversation and negotiations about Star Labs' future collaboration and potential acquisition of Palmer Tech. Palmer Tech's stock had plummeted following Ray Palmer's death, albeit a projected death when he was still alive, but the company was in trouble. It didn't help that several of Star Labs' ideas and technologies were their competitors, therefore the board decided that a future relationship with Star Labs was the best option. They'd rather collaborate with their competitors on a profitable arrangement, or even better, work for their competition, than compete with it, especially given how things were going. Palmer Tech had several divisions, such as Palmer Paper, the Design Innovation Department, and the Data Processing Communications Development divisions, that were directly responsible for or involved in the development and design of the company's products and technology that provided them with a profit. If the collaboration was agreed to, which it was expected to be because the board members weren't idiots, the departments would be refocused on collaborative initiatives Star Labs had. He would use the weapons program in Palmer Tech's Design Innovation Department to develop his new multi-spectrum wavelength goggles, as well as new telecommunication network designs, new sensor systems for satellites, onboard navigational systems for vehicles and aircraft, and new battery cell technology. They were essentially next-generation night vision goggles that will include thermal and multiple wavelength spectrums. They gave the wearer with the clearest field of vision and view of their surroundings, allowing them to detect the smallest tripwires or explosive wires of an IED while also providing the user with some degree of vision in their blind zones. Star Labs' principal defense contribution was the multi-spectrum goggles, Exo-1 body armor, and ICER weapons, excluding the Quinjet design, surveillance software, and armored vehicle designs that were still in the design phase. All of this would provide Palmer Tech with the adrenaline boost it needed to climb back into the green. In addition, Naruto and the board discussed developing an ARC reactor for Star City, and rather than building a completely separate facility from scratch, they would employ a Palmer Tech facility. In Star City, a big facility was being refurbished that would be ideal for an ARC reactor. It used to be the Queen Consolidated Applied Sciences building, but it was destroyed 2 years ago in a blast that previous CEO Isabel Rochev blamed on terrorists, despite the fact that she herself was a terrorist working for Deathstroke. When Palmer Tech took over, they began reconstructing the region to develop a new facility, but it was still under construction, making it ideal for an ARC reactor. That element of the agreement took some time to work out because the Palmer Tech Board did not want to hand out the facilities for free. Corporate talks were lengthy and tedious. Naruto couldn't figure out how people could do this and not go insane. They dragged on, and being in a stuffy boardroom in a suit was just irritating. It was considerably worse for a fast. Fortunately, the Palmer Tech Board lacked leverage and were unable to disregard any potential discussions. In business terms, Naruto was handing them a handout, and you don't bite the hand of the freebie. Granted, Naruto wasn't a corporate selfish businessman and was doing this for altruistic motives in addition to assisting Felicity, Ray, and the others, but they didn't realize it. So, in the end, the board agreed to the requirements, although Naruto was not unreasonable. Palmer Tech's future relationship was just about to be finalized after several hours of negotiations and a lunch break in between. All that remained was for the legal team to review it so that when Naruto returned to Central City, the Weathersby and Stone legal firm, now Star Labs' official legal firm, could carry the agreement forward. After a few hours, when Linda texted him to meet her and the others at the bunker, he left the deal feeling accomplished. In their fight against the Hive, a new development occurred. Diggle's brother Andy, who was thought to be dead, turns out to be alive and working for Hive. Felicity was intrigued by Andy's file. Well, with Naruto and now Andy, even death is no longer permanent, sorry. No, it's fine. Nothing seems to make sense anymore, Diggle breathed, his mind racing a mile a minute. I can't believe it, Andy. It's obvious Hive faked his death, perhaps it was part of his recruitment, Oliver speculated. Diggle reminded him, you saw the file. You saw what kind of man my brother was, what kind of man he is. We don't know anything until we hear directly from Andy, Oliver explained. And how exactly are we supposed to do that? Laurel wondered. Oliver responded, we get him out of the Hive. Oliver, how can you still be giving him the benefit of the doubt? Diggle questioned. Because he's your family. You said he was a good man. Maybe a part of him still is, Oliver explained, but Dig was skeptical. I honestly don't know. I remember last month, at the lumberyard, a ghost had a chance to kill you but didn't, and I remember thinking how strange that was, unless that ghost was Andy. Felicity remembered. So, what, he had a chance to kill me, and he didn't, so I'm just supposed to forget he's a killer? Dig queried. No, but keep in mind he's your brother, Thea reminded him. I can't square that circle, Thea. That Hive member was nothing like my brother, Diggle explained. We all have blind spots for our friends and family, Naruto said, drawing everyone's attention to him. I mean, no one here wears our true selves on our sleeves. We all hide things, even from those we love, and I imagine everyone here knows a thing or two about keeping secrets. Felicity agreed, very true. I think this is a little different, Naruto, Diggle said. My parents were secretly complicit in a vast conspiracy to gift metahuman powers to 9 extremely dangerous super criminals who control all crime around the world, and in an effort to stop them, they injected me with a serum to give me superhuman intelligence, Naruto pointed out, making a compelling argument. I'm just saying, unless you talk to him, not for him, but for you, to truly give you closure, you won't know what happened and why he did what. If I could talk to my parents one more time, I would. Dig acknowledged, I don't know if I could handle that. I believe you can, Dig. You're one of the strongest people here, Naruto said, to which everyone agreed. Aside from providing closure, having a Hive member could at the very least provide you with more information on Damien Darhk and his plans. I've got a new truth serum that could provide you with some answers. Roy responded, sounds like a plan. Everyone agreed. They'd start thinking about how to get Andy out of the Hive, but Oliver had a policeman's benefit event to attend first. XXXXX line break. The Star City Policemen's Benefit Association was attended by the city's elite society, prominent and wealthy. An event to praise them for their efforts and raise donations for the issues they faced, particularly against the ghosts. Because Oliver was a mayoral candidate, the rest of the crew had to be there as well. Felicity was his +1, Diggle was his security chief, Laurel was the Ada, and Thea and Roy assisted Oliver with his campaign. Naruto and Linda decided to go out, have a fun night out, and dress up. Naruto in a tuxedo and Linda in a stunning black and white gown. The event was invitation only, but Naruto made a last-minute substantial donation to the Policemen's Benefit Association, so he got in. He and Linda came in, arm in arm, with little fanfare or bustle. Everyone else in the room was either focused on the benefit or had their affluent heads up their own asses, allowing them to go in and socialize with ease. Not bad. Not the worst gala I've attended, but also not the best, Linda commented. Well, something tells me this will be a common occurrence for us. Given my new status, I imagine I'll be invited to a lot of these kinds of things, and I'm going to need a +1 for each, Naruto said as he drew 2 glasses of champagne from a serving tray. Not every single one, right? That would have to be dozens. Linda expressed concern about doing this dozens of times. Linda exhaled a sigh of relief as he told her, probably not. A spotlight was then shown on Oliver as he took the podium. Evening. It is our great privilege to be here tonight to honor the Star City Police Department. These are a group of men and women who risk their lives for us on a daily basis. It has never been an easy job, and it has certainly never been more difficult than it is right now in our city. These are the people who keep our streets safe, who watch over us, and they protect us. For that, I'm grateful. And so is the rest of Star City, Oliver said before clapping. Naruto agreed, saying, "Nice speech. I might have helped him a little. I've heard a lot of bad speeches, so I gave him a few pointers," Linda explained as Naruto kissed her on the cheek. "You're amazing. I understand," she said before the two made their move. When Naruto and Linda approached, Oliver was shaking hands with others. Given that this would be their first public meeting, the two needed to act as if they had never met before, which would also help with their secret identities. Naruto complimented him, saying, "Mr. Queen, that was a very nice speech." Oliver said, "Thank you, Mr. Namikaze. Please call me Naruto," Naruto remarked as they shook hands. "Only if you call me Oliver. I wasn't expecting to meet you here. I'm aware that Star Labs is interested in doing business with Palmer Technologies, but I wasn't aware you received an invitation," Oliver explained. "I didn't, but one of the board members informed me of this gala, and I'm always happy to make worthwhile donations and contributions to worthy causes," Naruto assured him. "Thank you very much. That's very generous of you." "You're very welcome. Star Labs has big plans for the future, and we hope Star City can be a part of that," Naruto remarked. "And on behalf of Star City, we'll do our part to make that a harmonious and beneficial relationship possible," Oliver added as the two posed for a photo together. They grinned for the camera before Oliver leaned in slightly. "We have a possible lead on the ghosts by the docks." "Got it. Just let me know when," Naruto said as the two maintained their disguise. "Best of luck in your mayoral campaign, Mr. Queen." "Thank you, Naruto, and best of luck in your business endeavors," Oliver said as he shook his hand and the two parted ways. "Nicely done. I really thought you guys didn't know each other. Guess you can add acting to your ever-expanding list of skills," Linda said. "Something I'll have to master as time passes, but don't worry, it's just me. I don't expect you to have to do this kind of thing," Naruto told her. "Sounds good to me. I like to report the news, not be its subject, but being your girlfriend, something tells me that I'll have to do the occasional interview or deal with cameras at the very least. The price to pay for dating someone so brilliant," Linda remarked as Naruto kissed her. "No matter what anyone says, we know each other better than they think they know us," Naruto said, and Linda grinned, giving him another fast kiss. The pair practiced interacting with CEOs, corporate executives, and wealthy socialites who were most likely donating the bare minimum of their wealth to the cause. Naruto was tempted to simply hack into all of their bank accounts, both domestic and foreign, and drain them dry, but Linda reminded him that this was a felony, so he could only take a little amount. Linda excused herself to use the restroom, so Naruto continued his tour of the event. "Mr. Namikaze, it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm a big fan of your work," Naruto said, turning to see a man in a black suit standing behind him. Naruto assumed the persona of the scientist, CEO, and smiled politely. "Thank you. That's very nice to hear, Mr." Naruto remarked as he shook his hand. "Darhk, Damien Darhk. It's a pleasure to meet you. I was hoping to pick your brain about a business proposition. Can I have a moment of your time?" "Of course," Naruto and Damien Darhk said as they moved outside the ballroom, where they would have some solitude and no background noise from discussions. Damien was pleasant and charming as he talked about the prospect of supporting Naruto and Star Laboratories in their quest. "Do you want to buy a piece of Star Labs?" "That's correct. To form a partnership between the two of us. On top of a sizable influx of cash and funds for your projects, I have strong relations in the business circle, media outlets, and political backing included. You've made impressive advances already, and I'm hoping you can make more, but you'll need political cooperation. I'm afraid to say that in today's world, business and science don't go far without some kind of political cooperation." "I'm aware of that, and I'm already looking into it," My partnership with Wayne Enterprises offers me similar benefits, so please forgive me, Mr. Darhk, but I'm curious how this particular business arrangement would be beneficial. Naruto inquired. Your relationship with Wayne Enterprises is powerful, but that alone will not take Star Labs as far as you may think. Star Labs is still fairly young and inexperienced in the global scheme of things, and there are levers of power in play around the world. Knowing that is what will allow you to get ahead, Darhk told him, sounding as polite as possible. No offense meant, but Dr. Wells wasn't as big an expander as I am, Naruto said, and Darhk laughed. I'm all for an innovative and motivated mind. I surround myself with like-minded individuals who want to achieve change, but that can't be done alone. Star Labs is a privately owned company with all shares in your control. As CEO and chief scientist, you'll have a lot on your plate juggling expanding the company and making more innovations for the future. You'll need help if you truly wish to rise to greatness and change the world for the better. Please consider my offer. You've done amazing work so far, Mr. Namikaze, but if you truly want to change the world, you'll need some assistance. Of course, Mr. Darhk, this is a big decision, but I'll get back to you with my answer, Naruto promised him. Until next time, Mr. Namikaze, Darhk said as he shook his hand and went away. Naruto smiled and waved farewell, but as soon as Darhk turned the corner and was out of sight, his smile faded and he adopted a serious expression as Oliver approached. Naruto remarked, so that's Damien Darhk? Oliver nodded. Did he approach you as well? Yup. This is just getting interesting, Naruto muttered as the two slipped away from the gala into an empty conference room. They checked to make sure no one was looking before locking the door behind them. What in the hell is Darhk planning? I'm not sure, Oliver said, but he clearly sees us as tools for whatever Hive is planning. What did he want with you? Oliver thought. He wanted a partnership. He wanted to buy half of Star Labs from me in exchange for funding, resources, and political support to expand Star Labs, Naruto explained. What about you? He wanted to fund my campaign in exchange for not carrying out my Star City Clean Bay program, Oliver responded. What in the hell is Darhk planning? I honestly have no idea, but he clearly needs resources or allies not in Hive. He could have easily just killed you to keep the mayor's office empty, but instead offered you a deal. That would indicate the status and control of Star City as important. Important enough that he would need someone there to keep the peace while Hive does whatever it is supposed to do, which we now know involves the Bay in some way, shape or fashion. Naruto deduced, sounding like a detective. Whoa, Oliver was blown away. Clearly, Naruto's time away improved various elements of his abilities. It's possible he's bringing in supplies via ships, or the Bay could be a possible base of operations. That could be related to what Captain Lance discovered about Darhk. Slip 52 down by the docks, and now Darhk mentions the Bay, Oliver reasoned, and Naruto concurred. There's a connection between the two, even if it's not direct. His interest in Star Labs isn't exactly out of the ordinary given the recent publicity, but it was his promises and wording that drew me in. Levers of power, Naruto explained. Oliver told him, Darhk said the same thing to me. That, along with his promise to change the world, and the fact that he said he had other like-minded individuals with him, clearly whatever Darhk is doing is bigger than just taking over Star City, but we're missing pieces of this puzzle, and until we find that, we're no closer to finding out what he wants, Naruto reasoned, and Oliver agreed. So, what are you gonna say about his offer? Oliver questioned. Believe it or not, he's not the first guy to offer to buy Star Labs from me. I'll simply tell him I'm not interested, Naruto said. He's not going to like that, Oliver pointed out. I know, but I've taken precautions to ensure the safety of everyone I care about, which I'm working on for you and the others as well, Naruto vowed, and Oliver nodded gratefully. What about you? Oliver paused before responding. Darhk's offer is a double-edged sword. But it might get us some information. Yeah, that's a terrible idea, Naruto said, only for Oliver to glance at him. I'm just agreeing with what Felicity and the others will say about your idea of working with Darhk. I'm not working with Darhk, but I'm using him to get to Hive. I can work against Hive from the inside and figure out what he's planning, especially now that we know he has Diggle's brother, Oliver explained. I get it, Oliver, and in a strategic sense it makes some sense, but quite frankly you'd have better odds of getting Darhk to surrender than taking down Hive from the inside out. Darhk and everyone else are going to have you under a microscope the second you start collaborating with them, and it won't be long before he can figure out that you're the Green Arrow. We took down Roz in the League, Darhk, Oliver reminded him. We did that because we knew enough about the League and how they operate from Talia, and I did that to save your $1 from doing something stupid like a fake turn to the dark side without informing the others to protect them," Naruto reminded him. "We're going blind against Darhk, and trying to trick him like we did Roz isn't going to work because Darhk isn't like Roz, so we treat him differently. I know what's at stake, Oliver, and we'll stop him, but not by getting into bed with him." Hearing Naruto have his back gave Oliver confidence that his way of thinking was superior. And Naruto was a true super genius who helped bring down the League of Assassins, so if anyone could devise a viable scheme, it would be him. "Okay. So, what's the plan?" Oliver inquired. "Gathering information. Getting Andy out of Hive could do that as well as whatever Hive has planned at the docks. You and I should go investigate as it could give us a lead for us to follow," Naruto said, and Oliver nodded. "And given that we're dealing with, as Felicity put it, magic on top of a large private military, terrorist organization, I'll speak with Jiraiya." "Do you think the CIA would know anything?" Oliver inquired. "It's possible. If Darhk has been around for a while, and given how effective and coordinated this Hive group is, the CIA may have a file on them. If not, or if Jiraiya is stonewalled, then that's a bigger problem," Naruto warned, and Oliver concurred. "And I'm going to call Bruce and see what he can find out. He helped us with Roz in the League, and he's the world's greatest detective for a reason, so if anyone can figure it out, it's him. It's important to keep us heroes together and in contact." "Sounds like a tall order. How many of us are there?" Oliver pondered. "Much more than you'd think, and surprisingly, I'm the connecting thread. Guess I'm just a people person," Naruto said. "Alright, let's get this gala fancy talk over with and get to work on the real work." Naruto checked his watch's sensor to make sure no one was nearby before phasing through one of the walls into the corridor. It was a precaution in case he and Oliver were both seen leaving at the same moment. "Says he's a people person but wants to leave the gala," Oliver chuckled before walking away. After 2 hours, Slip 52 at the docks, Captain Lance's lead, turned out to be a good one. Naruto had Gideon check, and the entire docks area had been locked down for operations the entire night, indicating that something was wrong. Oliver and Naruto decided to address this together in order to get information on what Hive was up to. They could handle whatever came their way between the two of them. Oliver and Naruto were hunkered on top of some shipping containers, with a good view of what was going on. Oliver's green arrow outfit was dark enough to blend in with the surrounding darkness, while Naruto changed the colors of his impulse suit to a dark crimson and black, perfectly blending in with the cargo container they were on and the surrounding darkness. "Your suit has definitely gotten some upgrades," Oliver said. "Yours and the others are still being perfected," Naruto said as he handed him what appeared to be sunglasses. "Multi-spectrum goggles. I don't want to miss anything." Oliver took them and put them on, brightening the surroundings and allowing him to see everything more clearly. The ghosts appeared in droves, but there were men lined up across from each other who weren't dressed in ghost attire. They could be potential new recruits, and this is some sort of training. "Gideon, recon mode," Naruto said as lenses lowered over his eyes, enhancing his field of vision and providing a clear image and audio of Darhk's arrival. "Gentlemen, you all come here from different walks, different paths, but all burdened with the same knowledge, that this world is diseased. Fortunately, there is a cure for this pestilence," Darhk stated as a ghost approached with a bowl of yellow tablets, which they each drank. "That cure, gentlemen, is Hive. Those little yellow pills you swallow, they do a few interesting things, including making you cooperative. Now, I understand you all volunteered, and that's great, but I think we can all agree that there can never be too much compliance in any chain of command. Perhaps a demonstration. Kneel." They all kneeled when Darhk uttered it the second time. "Okay, this guy is clearly insane. Gideon, scan all of their faces and backscatter the ghosts. Let's unmask these guys," Naruto stated. Gideon answered, "Of course," as Naruto's HUD began scanning everyone one by one and recording their faces for later attempted identification. When it passed over one ghost in particular, Naruto recognized it as Andy. "There he is. Do you think you can get him?" Oliver inquired, and Naruto nodded. "Up there." When the ghosts noticed them, they began fire. Naruto rapidly around Oliver, shielding him from the bullets with his suit's protection. Oliver rapidly fired 3 flashbang arrows, causing the attacking ghosts to become disoriented, before firing several arrows into the air, which exploded into massive plumes of smoke. These were white phosphorus arrows that could melt through a brick wall or, in this case, create a big and thick plume of smoke, giving Naruto and Oliver the perfect opportunity to flee, but as they did so, Naruto ran over and knocked out Andy before carrying him away. Linda, Felicity, Diggle, Thea, Roy, and Laurel were waiting for Oliver in the bunker when he told them to meet him. The elevator chimed, and Oliver emerged with his hood and mask removed, Naruto close following. His cowl was also down, but he was carrying an unconscious ghost over his right shoulder. Laurel inquired, what happened? Naruto and I followed up on a lead Lance gave us on the ghosts, and we found Andy, Oliver stated, motioning to the man he was carrying. Is that him? Dig inquired, receiving nods in return. He's just knocked out at the moment. Gave him a sedative and checked him for a tracker just to be sure. You guys got a prison cell here? Naruto questioned, pointing to a door on the far side of the bunker. Naruto dropped Andy off after a fast super speed back and forth. Well, I think that went rather well. Why didn't you guys tell us where you were going? Roy inquired. It was just recon for intelligence. Naruto and I could handle it, Oliver replied.
Felicity inquired, and did you learn anything?
We did, aside from Damien Darhk being insane. That vial you stole from Wolfman Biologics is turned into a pill they give to their new ghost recruits. On top of degrading their genetic markers so they can't be identified, it also includes some handy-dandy mind control properties making the ghosts susceptible to Darhk's suggestion. Naruto tossed Felicity something, and it was one of the pills. I grabbed 2 before Andy, and I'm going to analyze mine back at Star Labs. So, this could be what made your brother work for Darhk, Linda speculated, but Diggle remained skeptical. Diggle retorted, we don't know that. He's right, we don't, but debating this won't answer that. We'll just have to wait for Andy to wake up and then you can get your answers, and with Andy here you can get intel on Darhk and Hive. Naruto replied, resuming the talk, and Diggle nodded in gratitude. Andy's gotta sleep off the sedative anyway, so while you're waiting for him to wake up, we can use our time productively and go after the ghosts. How would we do that? Diggle inquired as Naruto approached the computer and entered a few commands. Following then, the monitors displayed a tracking system. Naruto responded, I dinged one of the ghosts with a tracker before Oliver and I left. That ghost will take us right to where they're operating from, Oliver said as Felicity sat down at the computers to check the tracking system and discovered it had stopped at the Muller Psychiatric Center, which had been closed down years ago due to excess fluoride in the water supply. Laurel inquired, Muller Psychiatric Center? It's perfect. That place is massive, so it's definitely big enough for the ghosts to operate out of, Roy reasoned, so Felicity displayed satellite images. And they most certainly are. Satellites are reading a lot of activity for an abandoned compound. There have to be at least 100 ghosts and who knows how many recruits, Felicity calculated. Taking that position isn't going to be easy, Diggle reminded everyone. But when you have a super-powered backup, Oliver argued. A piece of cake, Naruto smiled, swiftly devising a strategy and enlisting the assistance of a friend. Ray Palmer was that friend that was willing to assist.
After 1 hour, everyone got ready and went to the facility. Green Arrow and Arsenal would arrive from the north, Black Canary and Speedy from the west, Spartan and Impulse from the east, and the Atom from the south and Sky. Felicity and Linda had returned to the bunker. Linda had command of her abilities, but she lacked combat skills and experience. She realized she'd be a liability in the field, so she stayed behind.
Okay, ready? Green Arrow exclaimed as he and Arsenal fired grapple arrows to get into position. They infiltrated the compound using their allocated routes and remained hidden. Speedy reported from the top of the west stairway, we're in position. Diggle reported from the east side loading bay, in position. Green Arrow and Arsenal were stationed near the north entrance, watching ghosts load freight crates into trucks. Arsenal stated, that's a lot of hardware. This doesn't look like a base of operations, it looks like a staging area, Green Arrow explained to Felicity. Felicity inquired, what do you see? Military crates marked G6 to 5. Does that mean anything? Perhaps they're playing bingo, Felicity speculated. Linda informed her, I doubt that's the case, deadly bingo, says one. It doesn't matter because those crates, like everything else here, will be blown to bits soon, so everyone get ready to move, Impulse said as he started his suit's battle mode. His huge cowl safeguarded his identity by covering his entire head. We might start a little earlier, Speedy stated as she noticed ghosts approaching from both sides of the hallway where she and Black Canary were standing. We've been spotted, Black Canary said. All right, go loud. Now, Impulse yelled as Green Arrow and Arsenal fired explosive arrows at the crates, causing them in the vans they were in to explode, scattering the ghosts around them. Black Canary shouted as she emerged from around the corner. Canary scream. The supersonic vibrations sent 3 ghosts flying down the corridor, one of which was knocked out the window. As Speedy rushed forward to strike, the ghosts on the other side of the corridor covered their ears in pain. She pushed one against a wall and hit him with a rear kick to the chest before knocking him out with a jumping roundhouse kick to the head. She disarmed another ghost, blocking his jab with a push kick and striking him with her bow before grappling him to the ground.
When she was taken from behind in a chokehold, she nailed him in the throat and then the face with her bow. She pulled him back and slammed him against a wall before hitting him with her bow on the side. She fractured his wrist before launching a kick, which he evaded only to be kicked in the back by Black Canary. He was kicked forward into Speedy, who flung him to the ground with a hip toss and shot him with an arrow when he got up.
Thea, Laurel, Felicity said, "There's a group coming up on your left." Speedy and Black Canary stood at opposing ends of a doorway, waiting for 3 ghosts to stroll past them. After that, Speedy and Canary punched them in the legs to knock them out before teaming up to bash them down. Speedy hit them with her bow and pierced one in the thigh with a fletchet, while Canary punched and elbowed them in the stomach or side before smashing their faces in, demonstrating a higher level of ability and combat prowess than when she began. Her training with the team significantly increased her combat abilities. Spartan tackled one ghost and smashed him to the ground before disarming another of his rifles, elbowing him in the stomach, then smashing him to the ground with said rifle as a bat.
He flung the weapon aside and opened fire on numerous ghosts in the loading bay.
When a fast-moving blur rushed by and snatched their rifles, Spartan was able to rapidly wipe them out with more gunshots. When a ghost charged him from the side, he reloaded his weapon. He lurched back but managed to stay on his feet, throwing the ghost into an ancient cargo loader. He hit the ghost in the face and pulled the knife from his vest, then savagely attacked another ghost, punching them in the gut, slicing them across the knee, and elbowing them in the jaw. Another ghost pulled out a knife and attempted to stab him, but Spartan parried the blade and the two engaged in a knife duel at close quarters. Spartan used his superior skills to disarm the ghost of the knife, twisting his wrist free of the weapon before kneeing him in the gut, elbowing him in the back, and placing him in a guillotine choke until he passed out. Spartan took up his pistol and made his way through the building, killing ghosts along the way before rejoining the others. Impulse rushed across the base, disarming the ghosts and recruits one by one, grabbing all of their guns as well as any heavy weapons or explosives they possessed. With those weapons out of the way, the others wouldn't have to worry about stray gunshots or getting injured, and they could concentrate on defeating the ghosts. Green Arrow and Arsenal slid down a grapple line into the main courtyard at the compound's main entrance on the north side. When Green Arrow landed, he fired 2 flashbang arrows, disorienting the ghosts and preventing them from rushing him and Arsenal. He kicked one to the side and clothes-lined another before he and Arsenal shot multiple arrows in rapid succession, taking down several ghosts. Green Arrow kicked one ghost away and deflected a punch from another before hitting him in the gut and then in the face, followed by a spinning low kick to his knee that knocked him down, allowing him to finish him with a knee to the face. He used his bow to block and parry a knife stab before pushing the ghost to the ground and kicking him in the face. He turned and shot an arrow as Arsenal did the same, each shooting a ghost in an attempt to attack the other. Arsenal parried and blocked a knife from a ghost before striking him with his bow, knocking the weapon out of his hand. He then struck the ghost with his bow before grabbing one of his baston combat sticks and striking him across the jaw before back-kicking another ghost. Green Arrow roundhouse kicked a ghost in the face and then spun into a tornado kick that knocked out 2 more as he spun into a spin and hit 2 ghosts with his bow. They heard the roar and whiz of jet engines as the Atom flew down and barreled through a swarm of ghosts, preventing them from swarming Green Arrow and Arsenal. He fell to the ground and joined the fight, hitting ghosts left and right. While his fighting style was crude, it revealed some kickboxing training as he blocked and pounded the ghosts one after the other. Despite his lack of training, his exo-suit gave him with additional protection and boosted the force of his punches, allowing him to be more successful. Spartan arrived quickly, blasting numerous ghosts with his handgun before joining the fight. When Damien Darhk appeared in front of Black Canary and Speedy, they turned down another hallway to join the others. "It's Marita and her little birdie, and you know it's not polite to enter someone else's home without permission," Darhk joked. When the females turned back, they were surprised to see Darhk standing there. "I've seen your fighting styles. You had some League of Assassins training, but like their leader, it won't help you." Damien then used his abilities to push them into the wall before slowly draining their life essence. The females gasped and attempted to resist, but they were powerless as they felt themselves becoming weaker and weaker. "Don't worry, it'll all be over before you know it."
Something crashed into Darhk from the side, sending him hurtling down the corridor. Speedy and Black Canary collapsed to the ground, gasping for air as the color returned to their faces due to Dark's interruption of whatever he was doing. When they looked up, they realized that it was Impulse who had saved them. "Go join the others, I've got this," he said, and they nodded before immediately getting up and leaving. As Darhk rose to his feet, he headed down the hall.
Impulse charged forward, but Darhk held out his palm, freezing him in place with his power. Impulse strained to move since he felt that an invisible force was holding him back, so he focused on speed and slowly began to inch forward one foot after the other, as if in slow motion. Impressive speed and power. Few can power through magic like this. "I've heard a lot about you speedsters, but I wasn't aware I did anything in Central City." Darhk pointed out before a quick twist of the wrist and Impulse was thrown through a wall with enough force to send him crashing into an old psychiatrist's office. He was thrown to the ground after being knocked over by a desk. When Darhk materialized next to him, grabbed him by the neck and throwing him into the wall, he groaned in pain. "But it doesn't matter. It appears you won't be returning home. I wonder how much stronger I'd become when I absorb your life force." Darhk began draining his life power, but nothing happened. He wrapped his hand around his neck, but his spell was ineffective. This method usually works. Then, to Darhk's surprise, glowing blue magical markings appeared all over Impulse's armor and suit. Protection runes are intended to guard the user against magical harm such as having their life force taken or being cursed. They were practically all over his outfit. It was as though Impulse had etched the runes into the metal of his armor.
"Not in this case," Impulse said as he pushed Darhk aside and kicked him in the chest, sending him crashing back into a desk. Impulse shoved him off the wall and landed a flying punch to the face before blocking a jab to the side and grabbing his arm. That left him vulnerable to another headbutt, which hurt because to the metal of the armor, and Impulse followed that up with 24 speed punches to the face and a vibrating punch to the stomach, which sent him flying back and smashing into a wall. As the brilliant blue runes faded away, Impulse walked through the breach in the wall.
When Impulse was developing his new suit, he took precautions against potential threats, even mystical ones. He wasn't able to employ magic, but rune work was essentially a magical literary system. In principle, a few runes combined correctly may give everyone with at least magical protection. Granted, all of that was predicated on knowledge he obtained from the Men of Letters bunker on Earth 29, but given how well it worked for them, it may work for him. To begin, he simply etched a basic protective rune set into his armor after soaking it in a mixture of holy water, myrrh, salt, silver, myrtle, basil, rosemary, and sage. That would ensure that the protection rune was effective, but he had no method of testing it. This must have qualified as a field test. Darhk rolled onto his back before regaining his feet. His power shielded him from the assault, but it had to hurt. Impulse decided not to allow Darhk the opportunity to escape or attack the others, so he grabbed him and immediately supersped away, leaving Star City and depositing him off somewhere before returning.
Green Arrow, Arsenal, Speedy, Black Canary, Spartan, and the Atom had met in the main courtyard and killed the last of the ghosts, a total of 178 bad people. "Is that all of them?" Spartan inquired as a swirl of crimson and white lightning zipped across the area, capturing all of the ghosts' bodies before Impulse slid to a halt in front of them. "Now it is. 178 ghosts were dropped off at the SCPD without their cyanide teeth, so they aren't taking the easy way out," Impulse said as his battle mode cowl retracted back to its normal form.
"What about Darhk?" inquired Black Canary. He said, "I took care of him. Let's get out of here. I left a surprise and a message for Hive."
They nodded and exited the room. Shortly after, a sequence of explosives blasted the psychiatric hospital, destroying the ghosts in Hive's staging place as well as whatever supplies they possessed. They sent a clear message to Hive that they were not going down without a fight. Everyone returned to the bunker and sat at the meeting table beside the weapons rack. "Well, I think we were wildly successful in our fight against Darhk and Hive," Felicity replied.
"It was. We took down the ghost staging area and many of them. Even if they come back, they'll be feeling what happened tonight," Oliver remarked.
"What did you do with Darhk?" Diggle inquired of Naruto.
"I dropped him off in the frigid waters of the Arctic Ocean to cool off," Naruto said, and everyone laughed. Even with his magic, it'll be a while before he returns to Star City, giving you the upper hand, and if you ever need any help, don't hesitate to call. Likewise, Oliver said, and thanks for your assistance, Ray. It feels good to do something useful after a long time, Ray said. Felicity thought, does that mean I can expect to see you at work tomorrow? No, I can't keep doing the same useless, ineffective things. You know, I've got to do something different. I'm going to take some time to figure out what that is, but it will still include the occasional superheroics whenever you need me, Ray assured. Well, we'll keep you on speed dial. I know I was gone for a while, but all of us out there fighting together, it felt good, Naruto said, and everyone agreed. Should we make this a regular thing then? Roy pondered. Considering our occupational hazards, Naruto remarked, and everyone laughed. Dig, I know everything with your brother is complicated. But give him the benefit of the doubt, at least for now. Dig, I know everything with your brother is complicated. But give him the benefit of the doubt, at least for now. Sometimes hanging on for hope in others who don't deserve it. It's how we fight and how we win over guys like Darhk. I'm glad to see you didn't change during your trip, Naruto, Diggle replied, and Naruto laughed.
I did, but for the better. Naruto nodded to Linda. Well, we're off, we have an early flight in the morning.
Felicity approached him and hugged him. Can we keep in touch? I will, Naruto said, hugging her and then everyone else until Oliver was the last one. Before I forget, I came to Star City for a reason other than to see you guys. Linda handed him a bag, and he took out a letter he had given to Oliver, which had his and Thea's names on it. What exactly is this? Oliver inquired. When I was gone, I spent most of my time on Earth too. An Earth similar to ours in the multiverse but with a few key differences. I made my way to their Star City, hoping to find your doppelganger for help, but like I said, things were different. On Earth 2, your father is the one who survived the Queen's Gambit. He became the Arrow. Naruto told him, and everyone, including Oliver and Thea, were taken aback. Things were rough there, and he tried to kill me until I could explain everything. He had grown jaded with the job, but in the end, he helped me. You two definitely share a few things, for sure. Before I left, he gave me that to give to you too. Oliver opened the letter, which was actually 2 letters. They read their letters from a version of their father, one for him and one for Thea, so she accepted hers. No one knew what was on it, but it certainly had an emotional impact since both were moved to tears, including Oliver, who was one of the most stone-faced persons they knew. You're a fantastic messenger, Oliver said. Naruto laughed, and the two exchanged a tender and passionate hug. Thank you. Don't bring it up, Naruto said as Thea hugged him. Thank you, she murmured. Naruto grinned and pulled away as he rubbed her back. Everyone dried their eyes because it was a really emotional and lovely occasion. See you guys soon, Naruto said, smirking as he and Linda walked away. They'd see them eventually. Next week, the heroes and teams will come together to take down an immortal nutcase, and no, it is not Damien Darhk. The end.